All right, if you know, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you can remain standing, we have Vincent Behringer, our police chaplain, is going to give us our invocation.
Will you please bow your head as I pray? Heavenly Father, most merciful Lord, first I would like to say thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health we need to fulfill our vocations, for sustenance and for friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thank you as well for the freedom to embrace you or the freedom to reject you. Thank you for loving us even so, from your boundless and gracious nature. In the scriptures you have said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities, since you have ordained these very authorities to promote peace, order, and justice in our community. Therefore, I pray for our Mayor Miguel, for the various other city officials, and the department heads. Most particularly, I pray for those assembled council members, Vicente, Michelle, Jose, David, Juan, and Sal. I'm asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and rightness as you define it, confidence in knowing what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in peace and harmony, even when there is honest disagreement. And Father God, I ask that each council member and the mayor enjoy personal peace in their lives, enjoying the task that you have set before them today. I pray for the agenda set before them. Please give them an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city of Santa Ana. It is in the blessed name of Jesus I pray. Amen.
Thank you. You may be seated. We have our State Senator Janet Nguyen. Can you please come up, give us our legislative update? Senator Nguyen, please.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the Council. I just want to thank you so much for inviting me to be here and including me. It is always a pleasure to come before you, your Council, to provide you with a legislative update on issues and bills that may be of interest to you and the residents of Santa Ana. As a public servant, I've had the privilege of representing your city since 2007, when I was first elected to the County Board of Supervisors, and now as your state senator. In both capacity, I have enjoyed working with city staff and your honorable council on various initiatives that have helped build a better and stronger community. Now as your representative in the State Senate, I continue to believe in hands-on leadership, and I'm especially proud of our ongoing work in the Townsend Rate, Bishop Manor, and Myrtle communities. Just this weekend, I joined parents from the Townsend Rate and Myrtle communities to make sandwiches for the joint community resource fair that was held on Saturday. I had a great time and was encouraged by the unity I saw among parents. I want to thank the city of Santa Ana. I want to thank Kidsworth, Councilman Benavides, for your leadership and for helping put this event together and for continue the event. Again, it is always a pleasure to be out in the community and to join you and the community members as we celebrate Santa Ana. As for my work in Sacramento, since I was first elected, since I last visited you, I was appointed to the State Allocation Board, which is responsible for allocating $7 billion in bond money to K-12 schools that was approved under Prop 51. I am proud to share that Santa Ana's Kenneth Mitchell, E. Mitchell Development Center was a recipient of $3.2 million in modernization grant that allowed them to improve 29 classrooms in 3 school buildings, thereby providing an environment that enhances the learning experience of students. I know that there's also other funding that is requested has been going through, so as we go through this process, we will have more and more coming from Santa Ana. I was also appointed to serve on the Senate Select Committee on the 2020 census and will be working with my colleagues to ensure all Californians are counted. I know this is an important issue to the city of Santa Ana, and I look forward to working with you on this initiative in the years to come. To further support our partnership, I believe that it is important that I maintain an open channel of communication with you, and that is why I'm here today, to provide you with an update of what's happening in Sacramento. Just last Friday, Governor Brown issued his May revised budget, where he revealed his updated spending plans for California. I commend the governor for prioritizing homelessness and also mental health assistance. In particular, I'm pleased that the governor's commitment of $359 million to assist counties in dealing with homelessness and $312 million for mental health programs. However, I do want to point out that the homeless funds are one-time funds, and that $254 million of the mental health dollars are repayment to counties for obligations from 2004 and 2011 for youth and mental illness programs. The governor also endorsed SB 1206, the No Place Like Home Act of 2018, to ask voters to amend the Mental Health Services Act. Voter approval of this act would clear the way for a $2 billion revenue bond to provide permanent supportive housing for people living with severe mental illness who are homeless, as well as clarifying that counties can use their Mental Health Service MHSA Service Act funding to assist homeless Californians with disabilities as well. The governor's May revise also includes a proposal to expand the state's earned income tax, which we call it EITC, to help working senior citizens of 64 years of age and older, and also young people entering the workforce from ages 18 to 25. As more Californians struggle to make ends meet, the expansion of this tax credit will not only help families but put food on the table, but will also help create a more thriving economy. On the education front, the California State University and the University of California Systems will receive an additional $100 million for deferred maintenance. These improvements will create a safer and better learning environment for our students. For the governor's last budget proposal, he maintains his cautious approach to state finances by proposing to fully fund the state's rainy day fund to $13.8 billion, adding $4.4 billion this year. He also proposes another $3.2 billion set aside for emergencies. And if you remember, the rainy day fund was voted by the people of California. In addition to the budget, there are also many legislative proposals under consideration in the state legislature. For the benefit of those who may not be familiar with the legislature, our session lasts 2 years. We are currently on our the 2017-2018 session. So far, more than 2,400 bills have been introduced by both houses of the legislature, and the topics are just as broad. Before I go into some of the bill proposals that might be of interest, I do want to thank the mayor. I've seen the mayor in Sacramento many times going to meet with other large cities in California, and also the governor's office and many legislators, and asking for money back to specifically for Santa Ana. And so I want to thank the mayor for his effort, and I also want to thank Councilwoman Martinez, Mayor Pro Tem Martinez. I've seen you also up in Sacramento many times in advocating, whether that is with...
Thank you for the rides.
What's that?
Thank you for the rides.
You're welcome. And advocating, whether it's with the League of Cities, SCAG, whatever it is, it's always good to see that we have a representative in Sacramento, because it helps me when I'm up there to say, hey, I've got my mayor here, I've got my council member here, so it's not just Janet Nguyen saying it. So I do want to thank you, and for your continued support of a lot of the legislation that we put forward as well, and also to your staff. Your staff is superior in regards to looking at legislation that directly impacts Santa Ana, and you have been putting forward onto your agenda either supporting or opposing, because it does help me to know that, hey, is my city going to want this or not? And so I really appreciate the guidance and the support of the city council. Bills of interest to Santa Ana that we believe. One is currently SB 961, which is from Senator Allen. This bill expands the Neighborhood Infill and Transit Improvements Act to help city use infrastructure funds, finance districts to finance projects near transit stations and transit-rich boulevards. Recognize that it is a challenge for local government to find reliable financing mechanism for new construction and infrastructure improvement. I was very proud to also support this bill. The bill is currently in the Senate Appropriation Committee. SB 1302, which is by Senator Ricardo Lara. This is a bill that would prohibit a local government from banning a delivery of cannabis within or outside of its jurisdiction, reducing local control over the cannabis industry. Your city and the council has opposed it. But this move has been moved to Senate inactive file on May 10th, but it could come back anytime until May 31st. Senate Bill 833 by Senator McGuire would create a statewide standards for emergency notification to ensure there is better integrated and modern notification system during times of crisis. The bill is currently sitting in the Senate Appropriation Committee. Bill AB 1884 by Assemblymember Calderon. This bill would make it a crime for any restaurant to offer a plastic straw for a customer if the customer doesn't ask for one. The fine would be up to $300. This bill is currently sitting in the Assembly Appropriation Committee, waiting to head over to the Senate. Some bills that I have co-authored under considering may be of interest to the city of Santa Ana. One, I want to thank you for your support, council, and I want to thank Councilman Juan Villegas for putting onto your council SB 895, which would establish the state's first curriculum on the Vietnamese American refugees experience that was heard yesterday in the Senate Appropriation Committee. There were over 500 people traveled to the state capitol to testify yesterday. Mostly from Orange County, but there were some folks from San Diego. So a lot of these folks, especially in Orange County, went midnight the night before. And there was several hundred just in Orange County alone that traveled 10 hours to testify for an hour and a half and then headed back home. And they arrived safely yesterday at about 10 o'clock last night. So I really, again, appreciate and thank your honorable council for being the second city in in Orange County to support the bill. The first city was Garden Grove, so it's Garden Grove and Santa Ana in Orange County has officially support the bill, and so we really appreciate that. Currently, though, it has been held in the suspense file, and so we're hoping to see and waiting to see if it would be able to be let out to the Senate floor. SB 1182, I've co-authored as well, and that's also, which would seek to increase renters' tax credit for single filers from $60 to $120, and from $120 to $240 for joint filers. And many, many other bills. If you would like more information on some of the bills that we're working on that affects not just our district but statewide, feel free to contact my office, and we would give you the full files and all the other bills as well. And to conclude, I want to reaffirm my commitment to serving you and the families of Santa Ana. As your representative in the Senate, I will continue to work hard by bringing resources back to our community. And as you know, I've been very active in our district office that has served all residents within the 34th district, which includes 12 cities and about 1 million people. Should you or any community members need assistance from our office, feel free to call us and do not hesitate to visit us. Our office is in the city of Garden Grove. It's actually kind of almost central to our district because we go all the way to Long Beach as well. The address is 10971 Garden Grove Boulevard, Suite D, in the city of Garden Grove. Our phone number is 714-741-1034. That's 714-741-1034. I, again, thank you so much for including me, for having me here today. It's been a great honor to continue to work with you and the city and staff and all the community members of our community so that we can continue to create an environment where all residents can thrive. Thank you.
Senator Nguyen, thank you so very much. I have to say that we were very proud when you were our supervisor. We're definitely very proud of you being our senator. You've represented Santa Ana very well. And I also just want to share with you that you have been our only legislator that has come here to this council and given a legislative update. And so I want to thank you for your commitment not only to this city, but to the residents of this community and the business community. So thank you so very much for your dedicated leadership and all the amazing work that you do representing your entire district. You do a wonderful job.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you so much.
So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and start our presentations. Senator's a rock star, so very proud that she's here. Do we have Bill Salin here? Is Bill here? Bill, come on down. We are going to start with our proclamations, and then I'm going to call the rest of the council. First one, Bill, come on around. As Bill is coming down here, oh, I have the wrong one here. Go, National Bike. Here we go. Bill, how are you doing? Well. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you too. So today, as we celebrate here is National Bike, and I have Public Works here, which is someone else's, but we're celebrating National Bike Month and Ride of Silence. And here, Bill Salin with the Orange County Bike Coalition. And I'm not going to go into a lot of the whereases of the proclamations that I will be giving, but what I did want to highlight is the amazing work that the Orange County Bike Coalition is doing here in Orange County and really promoting bike safety. And so with that, Bill, I want you to highlight, one, the Ride of Silence and the work that you all have been doing, but more importantly, the regional approach that you have taken to wanting to make sure that we can reduce lives, because every life matters and we need to share the road. And so if you could share and highlight a little bit about the work that you all have been doing, and then I'll conclude with some whereases. Okay. All right, Bill.
Thank you, Santa Ana. It's an honor to be here to accept this on behalf of the Orange County Bicycle Coalition. We work with every municipality that will let us in the door. We work across the county, and it's very much a pleasure to see the progressive infrastructure that's been offered in Santa Ana. Your community, many of you depend on bicycling as an active transportation form, and seeing the marking of green paint. I know there's a recognition of Public Works staff coming up. Those folks are out there figuring out how to do the best job they can with all kinds of creative new infrastructure in a very well-established community. And the kind of dedication and leadership that Santa Ana has put on this, it makes our county seat a really pleasurable place to recognize as a model for cycling in Orange County. A lot of cities don't spend the money or the infrastructure or have the concern to provide those kinds of aspects. The state has some incredible regulations that help us come up with decent bikeways, and the learning curve on how to implement them and all that is really falling upon police officers quite often. And I want to thank the officers in the room, and today is the recognition of fallen officers. The people in blue that come out and enforce these rules and make sure that motorists recognize that unnecessary speed and reckless driving is deadly to cyclists, and take the time to educate and enforce with the cyclists who don't recognize that riding on the wrong side of the street and blowing off the laws is very dangerous to our detriment. So between the assistance in education and enforcement by public safety, the good planning of planning departments, the good work of public works to make pavement as safe as possible, and Santa Ana has really applied a lot of resources to those ends, secured grants from SCAG, and is very progressive, and we really acknowledge and appreciate that. The Ride of Silence is one special event. There were 390 rides last year on 7 continents. It all takes place on one Wednesday in May. It's been going on for 16 years now. The nearest one to you is going to be in the city of Orange tomorrow night, and you're all invited to come join us. We gather at 6 and we ride for about a 10-mile ride, short, slow ride, in silence, as kind of a contemplative experience to recognize and honor those who've been injured and fallen on cycling. People that have, our most recent Orange County fatality was a gentleman who apparently was riding on the wrong side of the road and crashed in front of a car. I'd hate to be a motorist that hit a cyclist. I'd hate to be a cyclist who gets seriously injured or killed by a motorist. We need to figure out how to share the roads, and active transportation is really a way to extend your life. So thank you for this honor.
Great. Thank you, Bill. Very eloquent, and your dedication, and in particular the Orange County Bike Coalition, for the amazing work that you all are doing throughout the region. But thank you for also highlighting the great work that the city of Santa Ana is doing. And I do want to give a special shout out to our Public Works Department for the amazing work that they've done over the years, and our active transportation coordinator, and most definitely our community, who has been very active and engaged not only with the city but various organizations like yours as well, in trying to get educated and really promote safety and putting safety first. And I believe that we have reduced some of our fatalities in 2018, and we are just in May, but I'll tell you that the years prior, we've had high pedestrian fatalities and high pedestrian fatalities since the early 1990s, and we've been very consistent. But things have changed because there has been a culture shift in this city, that you have a bottoms-up approach, that when you engage the community and you have champions at the staff level and you have champions at the city council level, that's where you can really see a systems change. And you're seeing that here. Santa Ana is now the leader in Orange County when we're talking about active transportation. We are the first city to implement the first Vision Zero plan here in Orange County. And it is because of the efforts of the Orange County Bike Coalition, putting pressure not only on municipalities, but also the Orange County Transportation Authority. And so with that, I just wanted to say, as he mentioned, May 16, 2018 will mark the 16th anniversary of the Ride of Silence. And whereas creating bicycle-friendly communities has been shown to improve citizens' health, well-being, and quality of life, to boost community spirit, to improve traffic safety, and to reduce pollution and congestion, the city of Santa Ana is committed to providing a safe and friendlier place for people traveling on 2 wheels, and proudly supports the Ride of Silence. And more importantly is that in the city of Santa Ana, 54% of our residents do not have access to a personal vehicle. So a majority of our residents are walking and biking in this community. And so providing the appropriate facilities that are safe and adequate for them to get from place A to place B is going to help us continue to reduce our fatalities, and more importantly, some of the major crashes that we've had with cyclists throughout the years. And with that, now, therefore, we, the mayor and city council in the city of Santa Ana, do hereby recognize the Ride of Silence and urge all residents to recognize bicycles belong on the public roadway, and ask motorists to commit to safely sharing our roads with cyclists. Thank you so very much, Bill.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Thank you, and just a shout out, you've got some great community leaders, the Bicycle Tree, the Save Our Streets, or Santa Ana Safe Site. I see that camera, it's messing me up. The Active Streets of Santa Ana. Santa Ana Active Streets program. The Latino Health Access Program, these are some really incredible ground-swelling involvement in making things really viable for active transportation. So thank you very much to Santa Ana.
Of course, thank you. Let's give this a picture.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to call on Councilman Tinajero.
Good evening. May I please have the Building Healthy Communities leadership folks that are here tonight? I think it's Miss Alma Leiva, Capacity Building Coordinator, Santa Ana Building Health Communities Leadership Institute. Pásenle, pásenle, come on up. ¿Cómo está? ¿Cómo está? Vámonos más para atrás. Back in 2006, was when the majority of this council was elected. And I was a little thinner, had more hair, but it's all right. What happened was that all of our meetings were strictly in English. And the only person who would translate when a speaker would come up here was the mayor. Well, we said that's not encouraging our Spanish-speaking community, which is a very large community in the city of Santa Ana, to participate in civic engagement and to have their voices heard. And they deserve to have their voices heard just like everybody else because they have issues in their communities too. So we brought in our translation equipment and people said no one's going to use it. Well, not only does our community use it, but they're engaged and they're vibrant. And I have seen firsthand how many of our families and our parents went from being trained to now training others on how to engage civically. So this is a recognition today, and it's the Santa Ana Building Healthy Communities Leadership Institute is a collaborative effort with organizations within the community. The current and potential partnerships increase the capacity, skills, and knowledge of community members with the city of Santa Ana. By providing residents of Santa Ana with knowledge and skills needed for community engagement, SABHC Leadership Institute empowers those they reach with the knowledge necessary for civil action. By encouraging its residents to become active within their community, the Leadership Institute enables community members to participate and take ownership of their civic duty. Today, we acknowledge this group for encouraging and supporting the residents of Santa Ana to become involved in their local government and aspire them to seek improvement within their very own community. Les quiero dar las gracias a ustedes. En el 2006, todas las juntas eran completamente en inglés. Nosotros fuimos los que trajimos el equipaje para traducir las juntas. Tenemos a alguien que sube para allá que traduce cuando hablan en español, porque era importante que toda la comunidad, no nomás la comunidad que habla inglés, pero toda la comunidad esté parte del gobierno aquí de Santana, porque todos tenemos cosas en nuestra propia comunidad donde vivimos que también tenemos que arreglar y tenemos que dar de entender a los demás de aquí. Entonces les quiero dar las gracias porque yo he visto primeramente personas como usted que fueron entrenados, que ahora andan entrenando a otras gentes también en nuestra comunidad, y eso es cuando la fortaleza de una comunidad sube. Entonces les doy las gracias. Quiero darle la oportunidad a una persona para que hable sobre lo que hacen. Oh, go ahead.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Madalí de Paz, tengo 3 hijos aquí en Santana, yo vivo aquí entre la Edinger y la May. Mi experiencia en las clases de liderazgo fue muy bonito, participar y más que nada darnos la información, la comunidad y también como comunidad darnos estas clases de liderazgo para estar muy bien informados. Gracias.
Hola, buenas noches. Primero que nada, le quiero dar las gracias, concejal Tinajero, por ese reconocimiento y por tomar en cuenta el esfuerzo y el liderazgo de la comunidad. Y asimismo aprovecho también para darle las gracias a todos los demás concejales, porque sé que todos ellos van a apoyar, porque ellos valoran y protegen a las familias inmigrantes, porque van a invertir en nuestros jóvenes, porque valoran las cooperativas y pequeños negocios comunitarios, también porque valoran y protegen especialmente a los inquilinos de Santana, porque valoran las tierras comunitarias en manos comunitarias, y les doy una vez más gracias por tomar en cuenta su comunidad, gracias por tomar en cuenta la ciudad, gracias por tomar en cuenta su gente.
And for all the young people here today, you need to give your parents a hug and you need to thank them for standing up for you, your community, your education, and your safety, and that's the most important thing. I want to give this award to the Leadership Institute, y también tenemos certificados para dárselos a los demás. ¿Alguien que pueda recibirlos? And then if we could take a quick picture. So can I stand right here? I'm actually taller than somebody. All right, thank you. Gracias.
I'd like to have William Galvez, our Acting Executive Director for the Public Works Agency, join me at this time, please. Maybe our City Manager as well. May 21st through the 27th is recognized as the National Public Works Week, and each year numerous municipalities participate in recognition, which exposes citizens to the value of public works. And, just think of it like anytime you drive on a street or you flush the toilet or it rains and water goes down the sewer, or you take a bath and the water arrives but then it disappears. All that is because of our Public Works Department and what they do. As a matter of fact, the cornerstone of civilization is public works. And here in Santa Ana, we have a great Public Works Department. They're constantly working hard to keep us healthy, allow our community to grow and prosper. And today I want to take an opportunity to recognize our leadership and our good folks that we have here in the Public Works Department. So, William, maybe you want to say a comment or two, or Miss City Manager, and then I'll present a proclamation to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As your former Public Works Director, I can't speak highly enough of the staff we have in the Public Works Department. Just like the Mayor was mentioning about the things we take for granted, potable water. This city is blessed to have the best tasting water, and that's a fact. We won awards several times, several years in a row, and this time we're number one. The infrastructure here is a high priority for the council. When I was here, I was blessed to have the funding put in place by predecessors to pave a lot of streets. They've always been very committed to public works and the infrastructure here. And without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to our city engineer and acting Public Works Director.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. My name is William Galvez. I'm the City Engineer and Acting Public Works Director. And I just wanted to say that on behalf of all of our Public Works employees, we accept, and I accept this proclamation, really recognizing all the great work that Public Works does. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
And William, to you and to the entire Public Works staff, this is a recognition from the City of Santa Ana because of all the work that you do to join the community and the representatives of the American Public Works Association, also government agencies and activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees. Now, therefore, I declare the week of May 21st through May 27th as National Public Works Week here in Santa Ana. Congratulations, and please keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Council Member Juan Villegas, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm here today to present a proclamation on Drowning Prevention Awareness Month. And to receive that, we have Chief Black from the Orange County Fire Authority. He's the chief here in Santa Ana. And if you could say a few words, Chief, regarding this topic. I know it's very critical for everyone to be aware about this. So, Chief, you can...
Thank you, Councilman Villegas. Yes, the month of May is our kickoff campaign for water safety and drowning awareness, and it runs from May all the way through till September, because the majority of our drownings occur starting Memorial Day weekend at the end of the month here through Labor Day weekend. And last year in 2017, we had 100 drowning incidences in the county of Orange. 44 of those were fatalities, and over half of them were children. The leading cause of death in children under the age of 5 years old is drowning, and it's 100% preventable. It's 100% preventable by supervision. So as Councilman Villegas is showing there, we have a Water Watcher campaign. It's a very simple concept. When you have that around your neck, you're in charge of watching the water. If somebody sees you inside the house and you still have that tag, you're not watching the water. And they can help remind you to keep an eye on your pools, whatever's going on where there's water involved. You can use it at the beach with your family or any other gatherings. So I'd just like to encourage everybody, please never swim alone, and please, with your children, have somebody in charge of watching the water. We would really like to get that number to 0 someday. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief Black, and on behalf of the Mayor and City Council, I want to present this proclamation on Drowning Prevention Awareness Month to you and the Orange County Fire Authority. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. City Attorney, is there anything to report out of closed session?
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council. There is one item that is reportable from tonight's closed session. By a vote of 6-0, Councilmember Sarmiento absent, the Council authorized the filing of a test claim with the Commission on State Mandates to seek reimbursement of costs associated with compliance of the state trash order issued by the Santa Ana Regional Water Quality Board.
Okay, so I will now turn our attention to the consent calendar and ask if there are any items. Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor, my laptop, and so we need another member of the council because I'm not going to vote on the consent calendar because my notes on my iPad it died and
Sal,
don't have
why
access.
did you do that?
So, an abundance of caution because I don't have my notes, I will not be voting on the consent calendar.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to
Is there a second?
accept the
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. So we're on to the business calendar. I would entertain a motion on item 50A.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Item 50B, an ordinance amendment to revise the frequency of meetings of the Historical Resource Commission. I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion, a second by Benavidez. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Item 55A, an adjustment resolution agreement accepting fiscal year 2017 emergency management
So moved, Mr.
performance
Mayor.
grant.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Item 60A is
It's actually tabled indefinitely.
so that I would entertain such a motion.
Move the item.
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Item 60B, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
A second, Mr. Mayor.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Item 60C.
Motion to approve.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, you move very quickly. Can we go back very quickly to 60B
All
on
right.
the ESG funds?
Let's go back. Go ahead.
As we look at the nonprofits that we are going to be awarding, I just wanted to figure out a way that we possibly can look at adding some additional funding to some of the key programs that we're currently working with, whether it be Illumination Foundation or Mercy House, and remove Colette's children because of the issues that we're currently having and facing in our city and the crisis that I think we really need to hone on these two specific organizations. And so I would like for us to see if we can add those monies to those two organizations.
So we would have to revote. So I would have to.
So we have to revote.
So I would say.
Let's move on. Motion for reconsideration.
I'll make a motion for reconsideration.
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Just to be clear, we're removing funding from one and giving it to others, or can you?
Yes.
To
On
Mercy
item
House
number
and
4.
Illumination Foundation.
And you're
She's
taking it
increasing
from-
Illumination Foundation and Mercy House. Is it a 50-50 increase based on
Yes.
what you're removing? And you're removing basically $22,000, so
Yes.
you're doing 11,000 and 11,000.
Yeah, I'll be voting no on that, but that's fine.
Okay. We have a motion for reconsideration, but now let's vote. So I would entertain a motion for
So
this
moved.
actual item. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Is it clear to the clerk what we're doing? Okay. So with that, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
One no.
One no vote.
Mr. Mayor, on an item on the consent, I'm fine supporting it, but can I have a Q&A on item 23A?
23A, you want to
Yeah.
pull it?
Yes.
All right. We already voted, but let's go back.
Right.
Let's go to 23A.
Yeah, just a very important question and answer. This is for, I think it's a contract for $500,000 for construction of street improvements on MacArthur. Last August, the city council on a unanimous vote passed the project labor agreement for citywide infrastructure projects. And so if we can get an update on where we're at with that implementation and whether this contract, including similar ones, have the local hire provisions for our city residents and other items that we had 19 months ago approved.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. We have implemented our project labor agreement or community workforce agreement back in October. It's been fully in place since December of 2017. The threshold is anything over $100,000 in specialty projects or anything over $250,000 in general contracting brings in a PLA into play. We're fully into that mode. Fortunately or coincidentally, the contracts that we've awarded that meets or that's above those thresholds have been union contractors, including All American Asphalt and some of those others. So the way we're handling that is we have 3 consultants on board, and whenever there's a contractor that is non-union, then we call on to those consultants to help us out to administer the the community workforce agreement.
And they're in contract that are not union are also eligible, but there are various requirements. Well, one requirement is the local hire provision. All these contracts have provisions requiring 30% of the workforce to be made up of Santa Ana residents?
Correct, yes.
Okay,
yes.
Maybe 6 months down the road or so, you can start to present data to the council on the actual number of hires related to those contracts. Thank you so much.
All right.
So would you now like to make a motion on that item?
No, it was just comment.
Just comment? Okay. So let's go on. I believe I've got a request. Well, no, but just a second. Madam City Clerk, can you just make an announcement on item 75B? We're not going to be holding that hearing, and folks that are here for that, I want them to have the courtesy of knowing early so they can go home.
Members of the public, due to an impending litigation regarding the California Voting Rights Act and the insufficient number of votes needed to approve a ward boundary, the public hearing scheduled for tonight is officially canceled.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Also, I have a request from Councilor Benavides that I would like to honor, and his request is that on the work study session, item number 1, that we allow people to speak now. And I guess your idea is that we take testimony now, we continue with the meeting, council member, and then we come back to work study session item 1. So we have speakers for that. Okay. We have 3 speakers, so let me acknowledge them. Alexis Teolorio, and then Emmy Parrea, Perrana, I believe it is, and then Di Angera. Please go ahead, Alexis.
Hi, good evening, Council. Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to focus on reading from an attachment that I sent to the city earlier today around what we're calling the Santana's People's Budget Platform. We know that it's getting very close to approving the new budget for this cycle. And we are now setting some very clear demands that in the next couple of weeks you would see more of these points being not only presented but pushed. There's 5 key main points of in terms of values that we would like the city adopt and when deciding how to allocate funds this budget cycle. The very first one in the document, it's the value and protect immigrant families. And for us, that translates to not only renewing the funding that you allocated last year for the Universal Rep program, which was $65,000, but we realize that that money isn't really enough, and that it's much more of a bigger need than the one that we expected to cover with 65. So we want to request $300,000 for that fund to properly service that community here locally The second point is the Invest in Youth point, which I'm sure everybody in the council is familiar with, as the youth of Santana have voiced their concerns left and right. The third point on our platform is the prioritization of worker cooperatives, which I know is in the works, it's in the process. And next is around protecting tenants. We know that you do give CDBG money to organizations that protect tenants. However, because of the unique issues to our community, because we're a heavily immigrant city, there are particularities that we need to work on even more. So that point is there to sort of continue that conversation that we've had with some of you. And the last point is around the value in community lands in community hands. There is a policy that has been discussed at City on the disposition of the land. We would like to see a lot of that, those processes and decision-making processes involve direct resident representation. So today we're just introducing our 5 basic points on the platform, but as we get closer to approving the budget, it will be more detailed, and we will be meeting with some of you and seeing how you can honor the platform. We know that the city is in a budget hole. We believe the pie is big enough to be sliced equitably, and we cannot place the cost of being in this hole on the back of us, the residents, because we have needs to survive as well. Thank you for your time, and I would like to just say this openly here that I invite any kind of outreach for open conversations on the points that we've discussed.
Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you. Emily, please. You're next. And then Tianeria, you're after her. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Emily Praza and I'm ambassador for Invest in Youth Santana. Hola, me llamo Emily Peraza, soy una embajadora para la campaña Invertir en la Juventud. So Invest in Youth agenda is to reinvest the city budget towards achieving our larger vision of supporting all Santana youth and their environment through a holistic approach in order to achieve their social, emotional, and physical well-being. La agenda de Invertir en la Juventud es reinvertir el presupuesto de la ciudad para lograr nuestra gran visión de apoyar a todos los jóvenes de Santana y su entorno a través de un enfoque holístico para lograr su bienestar social, emocional y físico. Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you. Our next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. It's pronounced Deyanira, just to let you know. According to recent reports conducted by the Bureau of Justice, Black and Latino men make up 58% of the nation's prison population. Racial profiling, or the use of race or ethnicity as grounds for suspicion, is a key factor in the disproportionate number of men and boys of color in prison compared to white men. It is also important to consider the impact private prisons have on this structure and how the industrial complex, the prison industrial complex works in immediate correlation with the school-to-prison pipeline. Santana, whose population is about 80% Latinx, spends approximately $12,770 per youth arrest compared to $152 per positive youth spending. Tying these statistics with the poverty level in Santana, which 75.9% of our residents are living under the poverty level, and the suppression spending, which is about $18.8 million in the city, we can see a connection between the cycles of mass incarceration, which begins with citations, then leads to arrests, and ends with the detention of people, and the cycles of trauma, which begin with emotional and psychological trauma. It results in behavioral problems and is handled with punishment. I am left feeling a range of emotions. Do the young men in our city stand a chance against this mass incarceration system? How do we as a community preserve their humanity in a society that has stripped them of their identity and labeled them thugs and criminals? How will the youth in Santana break the cycle of trauma and mass incarceration in their families? As a young resident of Santana, I urge you to reconsider the ways in which you are investing our city's money. I urge you to divest from criminalizing our youth and invest in our growth and our futures. Invest 100% of the marijuana revenue in holistic and restorative youth programming. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. I now want to go to item 75. I believe it's B as in boy. It's the item regarding Mater Dei High School. And I think that's it. 75B.
We have 60
75C.
C and D.
C and D?
Yes.
All right. 75C and D. And I would first...
60C first.
Pardon?
60C.
60C first. Is that part of Mater Dei? I want to go into Mater Dei next. 75C. So if I may, on 75C, this is time and place for a public hearing to amend application 2018-02, general plan amendment 2018-02, and third amendment to development agreement 1999-01 for the Mater Dei High School parking structure and school expansion project at 1202 West Edinger Avenue. And Patrick Murphy is the applicant. And let's go ahead and hear from the applicant. I have three speakers: Patrick Murphy, Andres Garcia, and Martin Lopez. And you're all with Mater Dei, so you decide what order you go. Please go ahead, Patrick.
Thank you so much to the Mayor, City Council. Thank you for this opportunity to present an update on the Mater Dei redevelopment plan to you. We have a number of alumni, past parents, students who are here to speak if you would like to hear from them tonight. We also have our home acquisition team and our contractor here if you have any questions about the project. And I'm going to make a very straightforward presentation. The first part of the presentation is review the March 15th, 2015 City Council meeting. The updated Mater Dei redevelopment project was presented and approved 7-0 by the City Council to move forward on the Mater Dei redevelopment project for our parking structure, and for that we thank you. Also at the March 15th, 2015 Council meeting, Mater Dei requested that the language in the amendment number 2 pertaining to the off-site utility work revert back to the original language of the development agreement and amendment from 1995 and 1999 regarding the off-site improvements. And just as an aside, the only two people left from 95 and 99 are the mayor and myself in this whole redevelopment project. That request was tabled by the council at that time and was sent back to the city manager and city staff for a review of this portion of the project. It was also asked, Mater Dei was also directed to conduct its own cost analysis and study while we were acquiring the final homes for the parking structure project. Tonight I'm here to say that all 19 homes have been purchased. Mater Dei is willing to work with the city to amend the development agreement to provide for a cap of $1.79 million to pay for the portion of the off-site improvements associated with the Mater Dei High School expansion project. Improvements which we believe are a reasonable partnership between Mater Dei High School and the city in the spirit of the original development agreement. As you may recall, that those that were here in 2015, the city manager at that time was worried that the city requirement would be over $10 million. That clearly is not the case. We are not asking for the city to spend funds from general budget, but instead to look at Measure M2 and State SB1 funding, since these improvements are directly related to the improvements of the entire neighborhood area surrounding Mater Dei High School in this section of Santa Ana. Specifically, these improvements involve the proposed traffic signal and crosswalk at the corner of St. Andrew and Bristol. We propose these to be funded by Measure M2 through the OCTA and Bristol Street widening project. And again, as somebody who has been there for 28 years, I cannot understand how the OCTA did not have a light in there in the first part of the project, given the scary crossing of the street, people trying to get over to Sepulveda Elementary School. The second part of the project that we're asking for through SB1 is the improvements to the street itself at St. Andrew, as well as a public alleyway on Mater Dei property, but Mater Dei worked with the Public Works Department to provide a public alleyway for the trash trucks to better serve the neighborhood surrounding our school. We sincerely believe this is a very reasonable compromise in the partnership between the City of Santa Ana and Mater Dei High School that was incorporated in 1995, renewed in 1999, and we are asking the City Council of this year to continue in that spirit. I'd like to make 4 quick points to the Council tonight. Even though Mater Dei High School had approval from the City of Santa Ana under the terms of 1995 and 1999 agreement in a 7-0 vote to construct a new performing arts center as part of our redevelopment plan, we were not required to add any parking. However, as we expanded our campus, we realized in order to be a good neighbor and a good corporate citizen, we needed to solve the parking problem around the school if we were to continue to expand and build a performing arts center. So Mater Dei High School committed almost $30 million between its home acquisition and the construction, soon to start construction of the parking structure to solve this parking problem. We are asking the city to be a good corporate sponsor with us for a cap of $1.79 million. We are simply asking the City of Santa Ana to honor the spirit and language of the original 1995 and amended 1999 agreement by supporting this compromise language we have presented tonight of a cost-certain cap of $1.79 million to pay for the off-site utilities, street improvements in the area surrounding Mater Dei High School, as was outlined in the original development agreement. We are requesting that this current City Council have the courage and leadership to make this happen. Secondly, Mater Dei High School has a proud and distinguished 68-year history in the City of Santa Ana. Since the year 2000, we have raised and committed over $55 million to revise, redevelop our city, to develop our school in the great city of Santa Ana in its original location. Even though there was many pressures to move out of the city, our diocese and our school said, we are part of this city. We are not abandoning the inner city. We are not abandoning Santa Ana, and we planted our flag and redeveloped. Back in 2000, approximately 15% of the students attending Mater Dei High School called Santa Ana home. Now, almost 20% of the students attending Mater Dei are from the city of Santa Ana and receive a lion's share of the nearly $6 million in need-based financial aid that Mater Dei grants annually to our student population, including students from Boys Hope, Girls Hope, and the many public schools in the city of Santa Ana. In addition, Mater Dei High School is involved in the community through our Mater Dei Special Olympics, field use agreement with local community soccer and baseball clubs, and our hope for future cooperation with community performing arts schools and the organizations like OSHA, the Samueli Academy, the Wooden Floor, the All-Americans Boys Choir, and many others when the Performing Arts Center is built. Moreover, Mater Dei High School census of this year illustrates that Mater Dei High School is the most diverse private or Catholic school you will find anywhere in the nation. We are 37% Latino, 18% Asian, 5% African American, 3% Pacific Islander, 37% Caucasian. Number 3, a couple of years ago, the city of Santa Ana honored Mater Dei High School.
Are you almost done? I think you got a lot of support up here.
Okay.
Are you almost towards the end?
I'm almost done.
All right.
Mater Dei High School, through its commitment to the community, has given almost $500,000 hours of community service to the city of Santa Ana through our student outreach program. And finally, I remind you that whenever Mater Dei High School or one of its outstanding students or alumni receives a prestigious award or recognition for its many successes, whether academic, athletic, performing arts, or community service, the tagline in the New York Times, the USA Today, Sports Illustrated, Wall Street Journal, or LA Times reads, Santa Ana, Mater Dei. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick. Now we have 2 other speakers. I called your name earlier. Do you want to come forward, either Andres Garcia or Martin Lopez?
Hi, good evening. My name is Andres Garcia, and It is with great pride that I'm here to say that I'm representing Mater Dei High School, not only as a student, but also as a resident of Santa Ana. Respectfully requesting that the city maintains their original agreement they had previously with helping Mater Dei with their projects and aspirations to the future, as it would greatly help not only Mater Dei High School students, but also people living in the community surrounding Mater Dei High School.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Martin Lopez, and I am here as well representing Mater Dei High School in this initiative to respectfully ask for your support and continuous support. As you know, Mater Dei has always taken their pride in being here in Santa Ana. My family and all of my cousins and my mom, my grandparents who actually live up Flower Street from here. I grew up here. I am now at the age of 27, and a complete return on investment for what Mater Dei has taken the pride to help my mom, help my aunts, help my uncles, help everybody in the community to assure that I have the opportunity to attend Mater Dei. And one program that Patrick Murphy didn't mention was actually the Junior Monarch program, and it was actually Councilman Solorio who attends actually pretty much all the graduations, and it's a great program that supports, and it's completely free of charge for these students that are attending the inner city private schools in Santa Ana, from St. Anne Parish, which I attended, School of Our Lady, St. Joseph's, St. Barbara's, I apologize. They invest in these students so that they can have the full experience to attend Mater Dei and know that it is a possibility, knowing that most of our families cannot afford the full tuition at Mater Dei. So we ask that Mater Dei has done their part, and we ask that you as well do your part to help this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. What is the pleasure of the council? Would you like to hear staff recommendation? Go ahead, Councilor Tinajero.
So who can answer this? Is it you, Mr. City Manager? So they're asking for a cap of 1.7 million. Can you explain what that is?
Sure. In fact, staff has a presentation, but the items that the applicant is requesting participation in the construction
Are we
of
talking to the mic
offsite
just a little bit? I'm sorry. Just pull the mic in a little bit.
Is your mic on?
I'm just getting old. I'm having a hard time. Anyways, go ahead.
My voice is not projecting. The 1.79 or 1.8 million represent the request to have the city participate in the construction of off-site improvements. The traffic signal is one of them, traffic signal and all the improvements around the intersection. St. Andrew's Place, there is a condition of approval that requires them to reconstruct a portion of St. Andrew's Place. Then there's a new alley construction that's part of a circulation plan, because before the other expansion, the streets were cul-de-sac, but that was not sufficient in terms of providing turnaround for garbage trucks.
So they're asking us to pay 1.79 million.
Right. That's
okay.
Correct.
Are they asking for anything else above 1.79 million, or just the 1.79 million?
I believe that's what the ask is, 1.8 million. Yeah, 1.79.
Okay.
Yes.
So one of the things that I want to thank Mater Dei High School for coming out and the folks that spoke, and it's not about supporting Mater Dei High School. It has nothing to do with it. I think this council has always been supportive. Your whole parking lot that is off of Bristol is city property. I was parked there one time because I was doing an interview with NBC, and all of a sudden I had 2 or 3 security guards from Mater Dei come over and ask me why I was there, which I had to respond to them. This is public property. I'm not going to answer your question. We're handling business. And the reporters were saying, what the heck is going on with these guys asking us why we're here when it's public property? But it's been almost given to you it's almost been given to you. You access it, you use it. Those are just one example of the many other things that were given to Mater Dei High School before. What I want to share with you is this. In good conscience, knowing all the issues that surround the city of Santa Ana, we just had speakers that came up that talked about allocating funds for after-school programs. I was on the school board, and so I'm just giving you this information. I was on the school board when some of the folks that were on the council during that time or came into the council after that time still had a similar paradigm. And when we were building schools here in Santa Ana, it was like pulling teeth to get the city to work with us on any of this. And this is for our public schools. This is for our own residents, the majority of our residents who attend there. I'm a little bit disappointed, and let me tell you why. A few years back, I sat in your office and we talked. You came up here and I said, we cannot give you money. We cannot give you $1.79 million when we have programs in our public schools here that need help, and we're not giving it to them, but we're going to give it to a private entity. That does not pass the smell test. Our community would be hugely disappointed, especially when we're going through a structural deficit. Especially when we're going through a structural deficit. Thank you for coming out and trying once again, but once again, I have to protect the interest of the residents of this city and say, no, I cannot do that. I cannot do that. And that is something that I've said before, and I have to say it again. And my sister's a alumni of Mater Dei High School. We paid tuition so that she could go to that school. So I'm familiar with Mater Dei. I have nothing against Mater Dei. Part of our family, many of my family members went to Mater Dei. But I don't think it's within good conscience that you can come and ask us and expect us to give you $1.79 million when we have so many pressing needs in our community. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Additional comment. Go ahead.
Wait. We're having a debate?
Briefly. No, typically we don't debate, but real brief, Patrick.
We are not asking for $1.79 million. We're asking that the $1.79 million in the improvements in the area that will improve the area for a light. The light has nothing to do with Mater Dei. The light is for the community. The street improvements are for the community. The alleyway, which we negotiated and worked with Public Works on, is for the community. I'm not asking the city to give Mater Dei $1.79 million. We're asking, as part of the original development agreement,
but it's part of your plan.
The site improvements for the city, for the residents, for the community. As a partnership, the city will pay $1.79 million.
Usually when a developer comes in and says we're going to build this building and I'm going to put in a light and I'm going to put in some fake ivy so there's no graffiti, they pay for it.
Okay. Again, I'm saying Mater Dei's not asking for 1.79. We're asking to improve the city around
and
Mater
I'm
Dei.
saying
Thank
that
you.
usually developers pay for it themselves.
Thank you.
Councilor Jose Solorio, please.
Yes, this item has a few different points. A couple are related to just the entitlements that they need. I'm very supportive of those, and perhaps we can vote on those tonight. With respect to the financial piece that relates to the older development, one of the things I'd like staff to do either today or maybe this piece gets considered on a different day, I'd like to see what gas tax monies that are new from SB1, the gas tax measure that the legislature and governor passed and enacted not long ago, that we might take future dollars to allocate for this project, or perhaps there are other CIP sources of dollars that we may really not need those dollars next year. Oftentimes, some projects really aren't fully project ready. So that's what I'd like. I mean, my sense to staff probably today doesn't have a precise recommendation or options for that, and I don't want to rush them tonight. But I would like for the council to consider a variety of options, including the use of new gas tax monies. We do know that there is work via the state ballot that is going to seek to repeal some of those dollars, but to the extent that those dollars do not get repealed, there's a substantial new increase of gas tax money available for a variety of public works programs.
So if I may
go ahead, Mr. City Manager.
The SB1 rules require that cities every year, and we just did it a couple of meetings ago. The new SB1 rules require that every city, by a certain deadline, submit a list of projects for the prospective year, and we just approved that a couple of meetings ago. There was a list of projects. The process is these projects get submitted to the California Transportation Commission in order to get ultimately approved. So the revenue that's earmarked for the city has already been spoken for in terms of projects. Certainly, we can bring some options for council to consider if it does not get repealed.
And that list probably is for the next fiscal year. So there's every fiscal year there's a new set of projects
That's
that
correct.
could be advanced with those dollars.
Yes, and if it doesn't get repealed, certainly that would be an option
Correct.
that the council could consider, among others. The obvious candidate for that would be, SB1 has to be spent on street rehabilitation up until your city has a PCI of 80% or higher. At that point, then you can use it for other things like traffic signals and whatnot. But if your PCI is not quite there, then it must go into street improvements. That's one of the new rules of SB1. So the portion that could qualify for this would be obviously St. Andrew's Place reconstruction. It's a public street. Conditions of approval were for a total reconstruction of that street. It's quite expensive. As part of our efforts to try to partner with Mater Dei and help them, my commitment was as long as it didn't cost the city any money, we would do everything you could to help. So one of the things that I asked my public works team was, does the street need to be reconstructed? They looked at it and they said, actually, we could get by with an overlay. That decision to potentially reduce that condition of approval from full reconstruction to overlay would save them about $480,000.
Right. And you give examples of the variety of things that we need to consider. And again, I don't know if the council is ready to act on some of this information or the financial piece, take it up later. But I do believe that both in terms of the infrastructure needs as well as the Performing Arts Center and a lot of other things happening at Mater Dei, there really are public goods. And as an academic institution, a sports institution, a culture and religious institution, this is really, one of our stars in our community, and we need to keep supporting it the way we want to keep supporting public schools. I know Councilmember Tinajero and I have been meeting with community leaders about Godinez Fundamental High School and some of the needs they have. So we need to keep figuring out how we can continue to support these outstanding schools. And then this school too has so many alumni, so many in our community that we really benefit. And I also want to give a special shout out to Chuck Dobson, who for many years has been supporting Mater Dei and the youth and numerous programs. So thank you all.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I want to thank Mr. Murphy and all those that are here from Mater Dei. I very supportive, but I think for those of you who have heard me spoken over the years as it pertains to our city structural deficit, and it should be alarming. Alarming to my colleagues on this dais, alarming to the public, as we have looming pensions, potential raises coming, and we look at the issues in violation of Proposition 218. The city's not in a good position. And I think I've been very clear for many years, and I will say many years, since 2008, I've been speaking about this problem. And the chickens will eventually come home to roost. And they have come home to roost. I have 5 months left, 6 months left on this council. And I am going to do everything in my power to hold this city council accountable, this staff accountable, in the decisions that they make. And the decisions that we make here today have major implications, not just today, but into the future. And so when I look at what's going on here, trust me, if I could support our San Unified School District, support Mater Dei, definitely would. But guess what? The residents of Santa Ana already support our schools. 38% of our property tax goes to public education. Obviously, Mater Dei is a private school, but we have been very giving to Mater Dei over the years because they're a great institution. But at the expense of to who? And when we look at the functionality of our taxation system, we have to balance out that issue with the amount of revenue that's coming in and our expenses. Our deficit is looming, 18 million, and just add the issues of Prop 218 and potential raises. You're now going into 30 million, 45 million, and beyond. Well, we don't have enough revenue coming in to deal with these expenses. And so when I look here at the zoning and the general plan analysis, rezoning 19 parcels, right? These are properties that Mater Dei purchased. And I'm not sure, maybe Mr. Murphy could, or our staff can tell me, but are these were parcels that were on our tax rolls and possibly now going into Mater Dei. And so, I'm assuming a Mater Dei, like many other institutions, probably have a welfare exemption, which means that they don't pay property tax on those parcels. And so I'm not sure if our staff can tell me here today that if these 19 parcels that we are going to be rezoning, are they going to be on the property tax rolls, or have they been removed off the city's property tax rolls?
We don't have that exact answer today, but we will get the information for you as this matter comes.
And most likely, they are off the property tax rolls. I've been doing a lot of research. The city of Santa Ana has over 699 underutilized parcels and over 1,569 parcels in this city that is exempt, that is not on the tax rolls. That has major implications in the amount of revenue that the city is losing. And a majority of those are properties that are either the faith-based community, public institutions, government. Here, they're not on the property tax rolls. And so this city is considered a full-service city, but it shouldn't be a full-service city because we don't have enough revenue coming in to be a full-service city. And this is why we have these structural deficits. And so we have to ask ourselves, what can we actually do moving forward to, one, keep the city afloat and make the best decisions that are going to keep this city moving forward? Because if not, we're going to fall off a cliff. It's coming. And that is going to be very detrimental, not to only the residents, but to the business community and to this region. And so I just will implore my colleagues to think twice. And I would implore and ask my staff that you all should be prepared to answer a question like this, because it's important. This is a question that we should know, that when we're making changes to zoning and to our land use, we should know what the financial implications are to this community. And so again, I'm disturbed that we can't answer these questions, and for those many reasons, and because of our financial constraint, we cannot support. Obviously, if there are other funds, but the reality is that SB1, we're limited. And look, when we talk about our gas tax, we bonded against our gas tax, and when we fixed our roads, and so we got other issues as it pertains to that as well. And so again, I just ask us to look at the big picture, and the decisions that we make, understand that there are major implications that are going to hurt this community moving forward if we don't think these things through. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Benavides, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Some comments have been made this evening with that I think are well-founded comments. One with regard to the financial condition of the city, and with regard to investments that a developer would typically make as far as off-site improvements. We are in a difficult position as a city, and what was presented to us and what was requested for us to consider in with the spirit of the previous agreement was not for there to be any type of general fund, which is where our gap is, significant gap. General funds is where we have a deficit. The state legislature approved SB1, which creates new funds, new unencumbered funds to the city. And so it is definitely something that I think there's opportunity there for us to consider. A typical developer, the other comment that was made is a revenue. When they're going to build a commercial property, they're going to build a housing property. There is going to be a significant, it's a financial investment and a revenue producer for the developer, and I think it is reasonable for them to make some off-site improvements. In this case, what we're looking at an educational institution. We're looking at an organization that I hope that all of us on this dais are proud of. We numerous times a year will have the athletes, students come up here with their red jerseys and their jackets, and we applaud them for their tremendous accomplishments. So it's something where tonight we have an opportunity to stand by that support, if it's genuine support, and look at ways for us to be able to stand with them, stand behind them. I couldn't help but just smile as these two young men came and spoke to us, because they're a reflection of Santa Ana. At the end of the day, that's what we want to see. We want to see that the success of our young people. We talk about investing in youth. When 20% of a school, a well-recognized school, is Santa Ana kids, and when many of those are on scholarship, it comes from nonprofit. You're constantly raising funds to fulfill your mission. And the same way, I understand that we also are in a position where we have to look at our funds. But here's a school that is investing and reinvesting in our community. So I think the same way that Godinez was mentioned earlier, the same way that at Godinez we gave the district a fair amount of acreage in order for them to develop a school, the same way that with Santa Ana College we provided them land along Bristol Street to develop their media center. We vacated College Avenue because the city, we've communicated that education is important to us. I think we need to look at that here in this case as well. Then for me, there's two things: looking at investing in our young people, and then looking at economic development opportunities. When you have people coming into this city, hearing about this city, reading about this city in the local newspaper, there's a multiplier effect. There is more attention, positive attention is brought to our city. The commercial property right across the street where Smart and Final is, it was in very poor condition for many, many years, going into disrepair. And we might recall that it was a developer who came in, local Santa Ana developer, who did have a relationship with Mater Dei, who saw that place on a regular basis, who decided to acquire the property and make some of the improvements that we're seeing today. So there is quite a bit, when we look at the big picture, that we benefit from by having Mater Dei have their home here in Santa Ana. So what I would like for us to consider is the same way that we would, again, with any school, is how do we partner, what can we do to be of help? With SB1, these are new unencumbered funds. With the Bristol Street widening, that St. Andrews location, I too am surprised that there isn't a signal light at that location already. With Sepulveda Elementary right across the street, it is a wide and only going to get wider street. It's going to be even more dangerous for pedestrians, families, kids walking across that street to get to school. So some of these improvements, I think, are ones that we would have and or should have been thinking about and preparing for anyway. So whether it's funds from the Bristol Street widening, opportunities around SB1, assuming that it doesn't go away. I know that for the existing, the coming fiscal year, we've already submitted our list to the state. However, the following year will be completely unencumbered. This year, I believe it was $9 million we were looking at, with a 1.7 minus the 480 that you just referenced for city manager. We're looking at about closer to 1.3, which is, I think, a reasonable amount for us to consider capital improvements, street improvements, how we would be able to partner and potentially assist with some of these with some of these improvements that, again, ultimately they're not on site of the school, but they ultimately will benefit our residents and our community. So those are my comments. Now, Mr. Mayor, I think you might have some
Thank you.
thoughts.
Yeah, I've got some comments as well, but before that, I want to call on Councilmember Villegas, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just really quick. Very good comments here from my colleagues. Makes you think a lot. Also, I want to thank the speakers that came out today. I'd like to be supportive of this. Mater Dei is a great school. We have a lot of great schools out here. But I'm the type of person that I like to look at the situation at hand. So you have 19 properties that have been bought already. You have a big lot out there that's dark. I know people are going over there and doing drugs. You're going to find needles because I've gotten the complaints already. And, this needs to be addressed. Eventually, it's got to be addressed. I also understand that since the parking structure is not there and before the 19 properties were purchased, there was a big old parking problem. So the residents there are looking forward to having that resolved by having the structure go up. So there's great, points on both sides. Hey, we need this, and we need to move on it soon. And they've already gotten, they've already started work. And we have this area out there that's all pitch black dark where people are going there and doing drugs and doing other kinds of things. Who knows what will happen? God forbid somebody gets hurt really bad, some violent crime or something, because it's pitch black dark out there. So that has to be addressed. And I'm with my colleagues here and Councilmember Benavides, who was saying they've got to find a way to work together to resolve this so we can get this done, because we're, what are we going to do? Just let it hang out there and figure it out sometime in the future without a deadline or without a goal? So it needs to be addressed. And where does that, excuse me, Mr. City Manager, so you were talking to me, you and I had a meeting regarding this. Where's the money coming from? Where's the funds coming from to address some of this? You and I, you were very optimistic about trying to get this going.
Right, Councilmember Villegas. One of the things that I mentioned is that St. Andrew's Place, the redesign in terms of from full reconstruction to resurfacing, that alone saves $480,000.
Off of the number that's given on this paper?
Basically, we would save...
that's a start.
So that's almost $500,000 there. The intersection is somewhere between $450,000 or $480,000 for the intersection improvements at Bristol and St. Andrews. We went ahead and contacted OCTA. We wrote a letter asking to see if they would be able to fund the delta for change order, that we could handle it through a change order on this project that we're going to be doing on Bristol.
Correct.
They basically said we can't give you any additional funding, but to the extent that you can help with the existing funding that you have, we would approve that. So that's one of the things that they said. The other thing that they said is, to the extent that M2 turnback dollars, if you choose to use them for this, that would be probably eligible. This is money that's earmarked to the city for mostly street improvements. And staff, when I checked with Public Works today, they typically program these, because these are monies that are coming to the city and we know ahead of time. They typically program them 5 years out. So that would be a policy decision. If the council wants to do that, we can bring back a staff report that shows here's where the money is going to be spent. What project would you like to defer in order to fund this instead? That's an option. With respect to the intersection, when I talked to Mr. Murphy this afternoon, I said, we could probably do some of the concrete work related to the infrastructure improvements, because that's already in the budget. We were already going to do curb and gutter and some other street work. But the actual signal itself, the poles and all of the hardware, you'd have to buy those, and we can have, figure out what that cost would be. That whatever the contractor would charge us for that would clearly be less expensive than if they went out and did it themselves and hired their own contractor, because the mobilization is already spoken for. There's no additional mobilization. The contractor doesn't have to come up and set up. It's just a simple addition to an existing project, and at economies of scale, they'd probably get a better price on our project, and we offered to pass that along to them, that opportunity. So there's an opportunity to chip away at some of this, but we'll bring options if that's what the majority of the council would like for me to do. What I did when I met with the representatives from Modern Day, I said, look, I'm very supportive. Anything we can do as long as it doesn't cost the city money, we're happy to do. So we revisited our conditions of approval. We wrote a letter. We reached out to OCTA. We'll continue to work with them, but that was basically what I used as a parameter. I said, look, I can't commit any monies because there's a lot of need for SB1 funding. It's for streets. For OCTA Measure M2 turnback money, it's also for streets. And I know that's a high priority for all of you. So we can bring options and give a list of what the projects are and what would the impact be.
Do you have an idea for a motion then? Do you have an idea for a motion?
No, the staff recommendation is as stated. It was approved by the Planning Commission, and that's the staff recommendation. Beyond that, in terms of beyond this thing here, the commitment would be to continue to work with the applicant, and we could find ways to save the money along the way. That's not in the staff report, but that's a commitment that I made.
Great. Thank you,
All right.
Mr. City Manager. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
If I may, let me maybe make a few comments here. First of all, historically, Santa Ana has been very supportive of education, both, private sector and public sector. Back in the 90s, we used to have quite a bit of redevelopment money. If you remember Ray Villa, the school out there, it was, set aside from redevelopment, but we did about $20 million at a single time to help them build that school. And that, again, it goes way back, but we've done that in the past. Also, in the mid-90s, when we were building, with the Unified School District, Godinez High School, we took a lot of Centennial Park, which has value, and we did, I think, a very positive step, and that is we worked with the school district, and we, in essence, made land available, about 20 acres. It has a lot of value. And we made it available to the school so that they could have a playground area, which would double up as a park. So
Where was this?
Godinez High School.
Okay.
At
We'll talk
Centennial
about
Park.
that. All right, I'll talk to you about that.
And so today, there's volleyball courts, basketball courts, soccer fields, baseball fields that are used by the high school during the daytime, but after hours and on the weekends, they're used by the general public. So, every time we build something like a school, doesn't matter if it's public sector or private sector, it goes off the tax rolls, but I believe it provides an additional value for the community. We need to educate our youth, and if we don't see the value of that, we're short-sighted in terms of what we're going to do to all those students that go there. And I believe all students that are fortunate to go to Mater Dei receive a very valuable education that leads them to better lives and a better future, and that has a lot of value to the city. I think also when we're looking at property values, and we might say, okay, they're taking 19 homes that they purchased. We didn't buy those homes for them. They purchased them. I think it's going to make a better neighborhood, because right now there's too many cars. Even with the parking on Bristol Street and all that, as the school has grown, it's impacting that neighborhood. So I believe by doing it right, and that's what they're wanting to do with the way they want to not impact the surrounding homes, guess what? I believe there's going to be dozens and dozens, many, many homes that are going to go up in property value, because they're not going to have the impact that they have right now when the school lets out, when there's cars parked in front of their homes, when you have the reality, the impact of thousands of kids, coming and going to school every day. And so I see this as an enhancement to the neighborhood. The other thing is that, if you're a private developer and you're for profit, you're bringing things to the community, but that's different in my perspective than a school. A school is a little bit sacred. It's a little bit, it's for our kids. It's not somebody that's there to make money, and God bless them if they make money, but that's not what they're doing here. What they're doing is they're making better students, better kids. And, whether it's a public school or a private school, I think we need to always take that into account. So what I'd like to do is move forward with, the recommendations before us, but I'd like to amend a couple things. One of them is that the city manager said that if we do an overlay instead of a full reconstruct, that $1.8 million comes down by almost $500,000. So, that just makes common sense to do that. But I'll tell you something else. In the Bristol Street widening project, and I spoke to our city manager today, and I also spoke to the executive director over at OCTA. But in that $125 million that's been set aside for us to fix up Bristol, there's a contingency. And we can, at our sole discretion, use that contingency to do the improvements that are being requested really on behalf of the community. Yes, it's going to help that intersection right by the parking structure, undoubtedly, but a lot of other folks are going to use it that have nothing to do with the parking structure. It makes sense for it to be there. And when I'm telling my fellow council members, I'm committing willing to go back to OCTA, work with OCTA to identify monies within the contingency of the $125 million that we have for the widening project right now. And I'll tell you that as the project begins to wind down, because we've done a lot of work on Bristol, that contingency is still there. So we can take a portion of that. So if you take the 1.8 million, you knock out 400, maybe you knock out another significant amount of that magnitude, now it's not such a big number anymore. And I think we can do that without impacting the city's general fund or capital improvement fund. The other thing, and I don't know who can answer this question. I don't know if Vince Fregoso's here or maybe the city manager can answer it, but it's my understanding that this is a multi-year project. They're not going to do it all in one fiscal year. And if that's the case, 400 out of this contingency, maybe 400 out of something else, I think we can get there from here. And I think we can find a solution. So can anybody tell me, is this a one-year project or is it a multi-year project, please?
This project, based on the size, would most likely be a multi-year project. However, the improvements that are required would have to improve at the time when the construction is complete. So it could span over multi-years, but it would have to be completed.
And maybe the question's for Patrick Murphy, but if we're looking at make the commitment now, but you're going to be done with construction in 2.5 or 3 years from now, you don't need all the money at one time.
That is correct. We are hoping to start construction in June of this year and finish it by August, September of 19. So if some came out of 1819, some came out of 1920, it wouldn't matter to us, because at the end, somebody has to do those improvements so that the traffic study...
So at a minimum, we have 2 years.
Correct.
At a minimum. All right, thank you.
I have another comment when you're done.
Go ahead, and then I'll have probably more comment. Go ahead, Sal.
Mr. Murphy, I think that one of the questions that I would ask is, and with all due respect and in good conscience, do you feel good about taking that kind of money, knowing that we have all these needs and a deficit in the city? You still think that it's something we should give you?
Mr. Tinajero, I'm not taking money. I'm saying that there are street improvements, there are
correct
infrastructure improvements around the school
that
will help the community. That light will have little to no impact on Mater Dei as compared to the community.
Okay, that's your argument. Let me just share something with you.
Okay.
Sepulveda, their boundaries are on the other side of Bristol. Okay?
I understand that.
Does it mean?
But I also see people crossing the street, and it's very dangerous. Does it mean
that there are some people that do cross the street? Of course. That's anywhere in the city. But let's not create a false narrative here. The boundaries are there. I'm done with questions right now.
Okay.
So thank you, sir. So I need to share a few things. So Mr. Mayor has come up here and talked about these wonderful things that the city has done for the school district. I was on the school board during the time that we built these schools. I grew up on Stanford Street, which was right over by Centennial Park. I grew up when they built that park. I was there. I was alive, a little child, excited, about 7 years old when they built that park. And where those fields that the mayor is talking about are, it was a dirt lot. My whole entire life, and even into my adulthood, there was nothing there except a couple of bike ramps that you could jump off of. That was it. The city makes it look like they gave us that land. The fact is, it's a joint use land, and the school district paid for that. And they created the field space, they created the baseball diamonds, they created the basketball courts. So that's a joint use, that's a true benefit to the city. I've never seen, sir, when you have opened up your facilities for our sports teams here in the city of Santa Ana to play on your facilities. I'm not asking you a question. And so I've never heard that being proposed. I've never seen anything like that because we have soccer leagues here, we have baseball leagues, and not once have they ever said we're allowed to play at Mater Dei High School. But that's besides the point. The reality of it here is $1.79 million. I guarantee you this, our police officers, our city employees, we are telling them that we do not have funds, okay? We are telling them that we do not have funds. And we are trying to be as creative as possible to gain funds. We sat here 2 weeks ago where we talked about green striping parts of our sidewalks so that we can generate revenue to help our coffers here. We have been talking about developments. We have been talking about a sales tax. We've been talking about a lot of different things to keep us whole. In good conscience, knowing what our situation is, does it feel right to come up and ask us for this? Okay, and I'd have to go back to what the mayor said. You know, we have had to bite, kick, and scratch to try to find a way to be a collaborative partner with our public educational system here. My concern is that no one is denying that Mater Dei is a great institution. No one is denying that Mater Dei has not done great things. Our public schools have also done great things, and they have needs. But we continually tell them, we can't help you. Here our staff is trying to accommodate you in other ways so that your costs can come down. That can be done. I applaud that, and I think that's creative thinking. Let's continue to move in that fashion. But, and it would be a huge deal breaker for me, if we went ahead and allocated funds knowing full well that we have other more pressing needs that we need to do. I believe that you are all very intelligent folks, and you made a decision to create that parking structure. That parking structure is being created because there's a need in what you want to do in your master plan. God bless you for that, okay? But it should not come at the expense of the residents of this city, because we have done many things for Mater Dei High School throughout the years, including, and I'm just using that as an example, that parking lot that you use as your own, which is city property. So I'm just saying that it's an issue of money. If I don't have money to give my kid to go to Yale that costs $60,000 a year, but I have money to give him to go to Cal State Fullerton, which is much less. If that's where my wallet is, that's where my wallet is. Okay, I can't give you something that I don't have. And that's what you're asking us tonight. You're saying, look, someone has to pay for it. You keep nodding your head. Someone has to pay for it. You don't want to pay for it. So you're asking us to foot the bill on the back end. Someone's got to pay for it. So I don't know why you nod your head. Let's be honest. If you're coming before us, it's because you need someone to pay for that. I'm saying we cannot. And in good conscience, I cannot say that we have that money knowing full well that we don't. When I'm trying to find, and many of us here are trying to find creative ways to bring in revenue. This is a revenue maker. What you're doing should be public improvement. It's like I said, the mayor said, well, a developer is not, it's not a private school. It's not, they're a business. I understand that. But as a religious institution, you also don't pay the same kind of taxes that they have to pay too. You have a great scenario here. I know you can afford it. And so why ask us to foot the bill when there's so many gosh darn needs in our community? 50% of our residents don't own a car. 93% of Santa Ana Unified students are living at the poverty line. That is my concern. That, as a religious institution, is what we should be thinking about. Amen. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Now we have comments. Councilor Lori and then Benavides.
I have to leave in about 5 minutes to go catch a flight, so I won't speak long here if you need my vote, other than to say that I know Mater Dei isn't solely going to use public dollars to finish out these improvements. I know it's a public-private partnership, and they have a lot of private resources into this. Having said that, like I started my initial presentation, and now with the motion, I'd like to move that we approve items 2 and 3, which relate to the rezoning and the general plan amendment, and that we continue item 1 regarding the development agreement, and have that come back in 2 to 4 weeks so that staff can present a variety of options on what the dollars might be and the sources of money. So that is my motion.
All right. Is there a second to that?
Mayor, I'm going to second that comment. I know we have very limited time, but I am very frustrated to hear the comments Councilman Tinajero made. Talk about, and we get along very well, and this is one of those points where we just are going to agree to disagree. But I do think that the way that you came at the speaker, the talk about clarifying the narrative, with those $1.8 million don't represent that those monies are going to go to hiring police officers or to fixing parks or to anything else. We're talking about this SB1 funds, potentially. Those are transportation dollars or OCTA funds, measure them to do a widening. Those are funds that are restricted. There's no way that that's going to go to the items that you represented. So let's make sure to be clear and not misrepresent what we're talking about out there. Partnerships with schools. There are a number of different partnerships that we can speak of. Godinez being one, that's another one that's a frustrating point to me because the school district has time and time again tried to build a fence around that field that was supposed to be directly for the public after school hours. They are now using the fields after school hours as well. And that's great, it's our own local kids. But there's misrepresentation here, and yes, there weren't improvements there, but there was dirt lot for kids to go out there with their BMX bikes, people out there with radio-controlled cars, and it wasn't the best green space, but it was open at this point. A lot of that is being used by the district, not so much open to the public as a regular public park. So there's overall win for our kids and their families, but I just want to make sure that we're not misrepresenting. And we can talk some more. We can talk some more offline and arm wrestle and see who's going to win that one. But
wait a minute. We have to vote too because we're going to lose Jose.
But what I do want to say is this.
Go ahead. Make it short,
Benavides,
please.
Is that what I don't know that you are aware of is that the city does get to use it. Does get to use the fields. But you know what's even worse is that our school district has been paying our city to use the basketball gym and the theater, and it's their own theater, because it was after 6 o'clock. So they've been paying us to use their own stuff. I mean, there's a lot that we can talk about. My whole thing is this, is that I just want to make sure there's streets within our community that need to be repaved. And so I just want to make sure that those funds, Mr. City Manager, are being used for the needs of the city first and the community. That's all I'm saying.
All right, Jose's going to have to leave. Look, what I suggest, I want to support Councilmember Solario's motion, which is 2/3 of what we're talking about. We can bring item 1 back in 2 weeks. What I want to do in the interim is work through OCTA, because I really think we can fund a lot of this stuff. And if we make that 1.8 million a much smaller number, because we found other ways to fund it, then I think we're all winners. So with that, those in favor, please say aye. 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 Those opposed?
No.
We have 2 noes. Motion carries.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, can we do the CDBG item next?
75D is also related, so I don't know if that's going to be, that's another public hearing. I don't know if
that's something else. 75C, the main CDBG item is 75A. If we could do that, that'd be fantastic.
Pretty soon, Councilor Martinez, I think, is going to leave at 9 o'clock, correct? So you want 75A right now, Councilmember Solario?
Yes, and I don't know if anybody on the council is ready to do a motion. I know Councilman Villegas had some suggestions.
All right, do we have any people that wish to address us on that item? Jenny Rios, why don't you come on down from Delhi Center, followed by Tony Garajalua from Illumination Foundation. Please go ahead, Jenny.
Okay, thank you. I have not been to a council meeting in a long time. Never a dull moment.
Don't you miss this stuff?
I'm not sure. I think I'm going to watch it on cable next time. So I am here as the CEO of Delhi Center, and I am asking for your support to fully fund 2 applications. They are number 1 and number 2 on your list there. The first one is our Teens Engaged in Leadership and Learning. I had a whole thing here, but let me just tell you, you know what, we've been working with these kids for almost a year. They've done some incredible things. I do have a handout for you. There's two of them. The one for the teens engaged in leadership and learning is the one you're getting first. They've done so many incredible things, and I had an opportunity to interview a few of them. And I asked them, you know, what do you want to do? How can we make this better? And they want to give back. They want to do some things. They want to teach. They want to work with some younger kids, and they want to be role models and mentors. And so with this new program, we're going to give them that opportunity to develop and to conduct some gang prevention activities for the younger kids. And I realized when I met with these kids that they are great kids. They have a lot of potential. So I kept thinking, you know, we've got to train them more. We've got to give them more responsibility. We've got to give them more to do to give back to their community. And so I am asking you to support us so that we are able to give them that opportunity to rise to their training and rise to their passion and to their leadership abilities. And so I am asking for your support just to help give them that opportunity. Let's give them some more work. Let's give them some more training and see what happens. The second application is for our Family Economic Success Initiative, and basically that's in partnership with Cielo. It will be providing case management for a variety of family economic success, financial stability services, and it's basically to help people in Santa Ana earn more, keep more of what they earn, and also plan for their future so that we improve the economic well-being of the city. And that's it. I'd be happy to answer questions.
Tony?
Thank you.
Tony from Illumination Foundation? Not here. How about Kathleen Bauman? I think she left as well. So let me, Claire, I do see Claire here. Claire, please join us.
You know, as Claire's coming up,
Followed by Richard Walker.
As Claire's coming up, I do want to apologize. I need to catch a flight, but I'm very supportive of all the applications as submitted by the commission. I'm also supportive of any consideration for second chance that I know Councilmember Villegas and others may speak to as well. Thank you.
You have the mic, Claire.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present. I am here to first thank you for your past support. AmeriContract has been the recipient of CDBG funds for the past 3 years for our Brighter Futures for Children Prisoners program, and it's really a unique program. We have a great track record of meeting and exceeding goals, as well as really implementing a life-changing program for kids who need it the most, and it is very unique. We're one of the only organizations in the county providing support for kids whose parents are incarcerated, and we know how much additional love and guidance and support that they need. And the changes we are seeing, we are watching these kids graduate from college now with parents who are literate. So it's really exciting to see the change that we can make in these young people's lives. And they need that support. They need that system to see that they're not the only ones in that situation. And at the March 28th meeting, the Commission did recommend that if there were additional CDBG funds, that the next in line in the scoring would be funded. So I'm here to request that we be up for consideration. I do also know that during their extensive conversation, they really talked about making sure that a large number of organizations get supported. And in the current structure, there are 17 proposals which represent 13 organizations, and so we're hoping to be the 14th organization in Santa Ana to continue to do the great work we're doing, be good partners with the city, and make sure that these kids continue to get the support that they desperately need, because we're making great strides, but it doesn't happen overnight with these kids, and we want to continue to support them, provide those wraparound services, and make sure that those families are supported so they can really have a brighter future. So we're requesting that you consider funding us at the $45,000 level.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you. Richard Walker, Public Law Center, followed by Dr. Ana Jimenez and Sofia Sebron from the Cambodian family.
Hi, my name is Richard Walker from the Public Law Center and also Santa Ana resident. I want to thank you for your consideration of funding these two programs, our housing and homelessness prevention and economic development programs, and we appreciate staff's recommendation to fund these programs. We just want to encourage you to adopt this and to fund those programs. We believe that they will help improve the health and safety and the quality of life for Santa Ana residents. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Dr. Ana Jimenez followed by Sophia, and then Sabian Fo.
Can you give this to? Good evening, everyone. I haven't been here for a long time either, and I know it's late and everyone's tired, but I thank you for the opportunity of presenting. And I just wanted to share a few important things about our proposal. First of all, we are thankful to staff and to the council also for allowing us again this year to be awarded a CDBG grant. Before that, I just wanted to share, because I'm not sure if all of you know, our organization has been here now this summer 18 years. So I'm very proud of that accomplishment, and we've been doing a lot of work helping the community. Last year, we were awarded a $70,000 CDBG grant, and we started a very important crime prevention and intervention program in the Willard neighborhood. It was an amazing program. We served over 200 families, and we found, of course, as we already knew, this was going to be a very community in need, high in need. One thing that we found was there's a huge need for counseling and therapy. This year, our proposal was rated second highest of all the agencies and all the organizations. However, our funding is being cut, and I don't want this to impact the services, and I'm just trying to request your support as council to please reconsider and allowing our organization to receive the same, at least the same amount of funding that we received last year, so we can continue the great services and the great programs that we did last year with the Willard neighborhood. Thank you for your consideration, and again, it's great to see all of you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Hi, Sophia Soberon, please, followed by Savon Fo.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I'm very happy to be here. As I've mentioned, my name is Sophia Sobran. I am the Youth Program Coordinator for the Cambodian family, which I would like to go ahead and give thanks again for this year's financial support that you guys have been giving us, and then also for the partnership that we've had and shared with each other for many years. So again, just for those of you who may not know, the Cambodian Family Community Center is a nonprofit that was founded in 1980 in Santa Ana. So we would like to express our sincere gratitude to each and every one of you, and especially in support of our Plan Ahead Youth Program, which has been running for over 20 years and has had the same amount of history of success, over 20-year history of success on that. And we would like to report some of the previous successes we've had from this last fiscal year. We have exceeded our goal by 32%. Our goal was to serve 90 participants, but we were able to serve 132. Also, 100% of our youth had graduated and received grade promotion. We're able to also report on 90% of improved academic standing and leadership skills as well. And 98% have expressed high satisfaction in our programs and services. Our cost per participant is only $331 per year, or $27 per participant per month. Also, as you can see in front of you, I have provided some program information, so I hope that you find that enjoyable. All of this success would not have been possible without your support, so thank you very much for your continued investment in our underserved youth. In this regard, we would like to kindly ask for your continued support of the Cambodian Families Plan Ahead Youth Program and many other programs that you will be considering on this list this evening. We would like to invite all of the City Council members to come and visit us at our agency at the Cambodian Family Community Center at your next convenience. We'd be happy to have you, hopefully to meet our youth as well. So thank you very much for your kind consideration.
Thank you so very much. We have lost a quorum. It is a public hearing, and so I'm just going to ask you to bear with me as my colleagues, they had to take a quick break to just come up here very quickly. Savan Foe, then followed by Leukemia, and definitely before, oh, here comes Sal. We have a quorum now. So Savan followed by Leukemia Muth, and then Ophelia.
Hi, my name is Savun, and I've been in Santa Ana for over 30 years. And Cambodian family helped me a lot. Sorry. So I just want an extension to my daughter.
Hi. Don't be shy.
Okay. So the Cambodian family provided after-school programs and summer programs that helps me and my brother continue with our education that my parents can't provide for me during the school year. And it helps with helping me with higher education, such as universities and college, that I would never be able to get help from my parents due to immigration. And also, this is the same with many other families of the Cambodian family, such as the supporters who also came here with us. So I hope that you will help support the Cambodian family in continuing years. Thank you.
Great, thank you also very much. Leukemia Muth, followed by Ophelia Ramos. Oh, she is. Okay, great. Ophelia, Denise Cato, and then David Levy.
Yeah. Hola, buenas noches. Mi nombre es Ofelia Ramos. Yo vengo representando a la familia camboyana. Mis hijos son parte del programa. Tengo 3 niños. Una niña de 11 años que está en el grado 6. Le dan ayuda en sus materias que necesita, en las matemáticas, sociales y naturales. Otro niño que tengo en 3er grado también le ayudan, y otra niña más en 1er grado. Yo estoy muy contenta con ellos. Tengo 4 años asistiendo con ellos y me gusta cómo ayudan y cómo les dan apoyo y los motivan a los niños para seguir adelante en sus estudios, para que más adelante en su futuro sean unas buenas personas. Yo estoy muy agradecida con ellos, y por eso me gustaría que ustedes siguieran apoyando al programa para que sigan ayudando a más niños. En el área van muchos niños, ¿verdad? Pero me gustaría que el programa pues no se acabara y que siguieran apoyando para que los niños siguieran adelante. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Ophelia. Mr. Vargas will be translating, our famous translator.
I'm here to support the Cambodian family because they provide a lot of school help for my children. They help my daughter. They help a 3rd grader that I have, a 1st grader that I have. I'm very happy with them. I've been with them for 4 years, and I'd like that they help and they support us, and they help our children with their studies so that they continue with their studies and they become good people. And I'm happy. I would like for you to support them. There are many kids that need the program, and so we would like for the program to continue.
Great, thank you. Denise Cato, followed by David Levy. Denise.
Good evening, council members. I'm David Levy with the Fair Housing Council of Orange County, and Denise Cato is also from Fair Housing, and she's going to speak after me. I want to make the council aware that we did submit a written comment regarding this item. It was sent by email this afternoon. I hope that's before you. I would like to have read that into the record this evening, but time won't permit. So I just want to raise the salient points that were in that written comment. Essentially, the recommendation that exists presently is it represents a 3% cut from our current level of funding. And to give some context to that, on an inflation-adjusted basis, since FY14 through the FY18 current recommendation, it represents a 12% cut in funding for fair housing services. We'd like to remind the council that providing fair housing services is what allows the city to certify to HUD that they are taking actions to affirmatively further fair housing, which is a requirement in order to receive those HUD funds in the first place. So essentially, the written comment was to ask that our funding be increased. This was originally agendized for May 1st as item 60A, and there was a staff report prepared for that. That staff report did, in fact, represent the actual recommendations of the Community Development and Housing Commission. As far as I can tell, the recommendations that appear both in tonight's agenda and the staff report that accompanies it, especially at Exhibit 2 on page 75A-15, do not represent the recommendations of the Commission. They've been adjusted. The reason they were adjusted is in the 2-week interim period between the 1st and the 15th, HUD announced a 10.8% increase in CDBG funding for the city. And so these numbers were changed. They were increased anywhere from, the public service amounts were increased anywhere from 5.78% to 23.28%. I don't believe this was done by the Commission. The Commission met to make the initial recommendations on the 28th of March. They have since met once on April 11th. This was not an agendized item at that meeting. I don't believe there's been any meeting since. So it's a misrepresentation that these figures that appear in that amendment and on the agenda are in fact recommendations of the Commission. Now, if those public service amounts could be adjusted to reflect the 10.8% increase.
Conclude, Mr. Levy.
Excuse me?
If you can please conclude, your light's red.
Okay. Those amounts were increased because the city received additional money. We asked for $66,000 in funding, and we got a 3% cut instead from our current year funding. We're asking for more money to make sure the city has decent fair housing services. Thank you.
Mr. Levy. Denise Cato is our last speaker, and bring it back to the council staff.
Good evening. Thank you for listening to me. Dave said basically everything. I'm the president and CEO of the Fair Housing Council of Orange County. I've been in this position for the last 10 years, and since 2014, we are struggling. But Santa Ana, we're located here, is our main city. You know what, people talk about the schools. I've listened to everybody talk about all the things that Santa Ana needs, and I definitely understand it. But housing is a must. Housing is a core of an individual. A person can't go to school, they can't go to after school programs, they can't do anything. And that's what we are doing. We're helping individuals being able to stay in their homes. You sit back and think low income in Orange County for one person is $61,250. The individuals that come into our house, a household of 5, they don't have that much. We are constantly fighting for individuals to be able to keep their housing, for landlords not to be able to rent gouge them and put them out for any particular reason. I was surprised that I wasn't surprised that we were cut. I sit on NAFA, the National Fair Housing Alliance Board, that's in Washington. I'm a board member there. So I went to DC in December and January, and I really thought that we were going to be cut. But now that Santa Ana has gotten an allotment, we're not even being funded what we are this contract year of the $64,000. We got a 3% cut, and I would like for you to reconsider it. I have a staff of 9, and we're struggling. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cato. Appreciate that. We're going to bring it back to the council, and I'm not sure, Madam Clerk, did our mayor ask if there was any received written communication regarding this matter?
He did not ask, but we have not received any.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm sorry, we sent it by email. Oh, okay.
Okay, great. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so very much.
I'm just going through the public hearing. I have to ask these questions to my clerk. So
thank you so very much. Thank you.
And at this time, I'm going to bring it back to the City Council. Does our City Council want a presentation from our staff? Mr. Mendoza, if you can please be handy. If not, what's the pleasure of the council?
I would like to discuss adding some more organizations to the list. And is there, where's the city manager at? He stepped out? Or,
yes, he did.
Are you aware that I was inquiring about another organization, Second Chance Orange County? Were you aware of that?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about. So there's going to be some additional funds coming apart from of what we have right here?
Good evening, Council. If I could clarify, on May 1, we used an estimate of what we were going to, suspected we were going to get from the federal government. Since May 1... I'm not
understanding. What was that?
In the May 1 staff report, we used an estimate of what we were to be provided by the federal government. Since that time, they have finalized their figure for us, and that figure increased $79,908.
Very good. So I want to add the Second Chance Orange County to the list. They seem to provide some jobs and are helping the homeless in our city, and that is something we need to address. It's something we're working on right now, and I think it's in line with what we need to do here regarding that issue. That is all I have, Mayor Pro Tem.
Great. Councilman Benavides.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So just to clarify, we did receive at the last meeting when this was before us, there was some estimate that was presented. We're also looking at a few different options on how to address if there was to be an increase. There was an increase, as I'm understanding, I think from previous conversation, that increase, if you will, was spread throughout the organizations that had previously been recommended.
It was,
Correct?
and that was based on a recommendation from the commission if we received additional money.
Yes, there was a few options that were presented there, and that was one of them. So I would like to also take Councilman Villegas' comments and make a recommendation that we address two organizations. One is, as was referenced, one of the areas that we've been prioritizing and looking at addressing is homelessness, and specifically allowing for people to be able to gain support, to be able to have gainful employment, job training and such, and the organization Second Chance, some of us had an opportunity to learn about and engage in, would provide some of those services that have been presented as priority by the council. And the other, we did have a speaker come and address us that has been a long-time service provider in the city, America on Track. That was the next top-rated organization that would provide, again, us support, significant support there, particular to our youth. So what I would like for us to consider is the Second Chance organization that a little bit further down the list, but is within that priority area that Council talked about previously, to look at funding Second Chance at the level of $30,000 and America on Track at the level of $45,000, and have that be basically readjust the recommended funded public service organizations to be able to accommodate for that additional recommendation that I just made. So that would be my recommendation and a motion.
I'll second that.
Any more comment? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Great. So we'll be back with some adjustments. Great. Madam Clerk, what is the next item? Just in the interest of time, our mayor left,
We
and so I
have
just want to make sure
item
that we're
60C.
60C.
Yes.
So 60C, thank you. This is now approve the fiscal year 2018-2019 annual action plan. It's the pleasure of the council. Recommendation action is to approve the fiscal year 2018-19 action plan, and then authorize the submission of the fiscal year 2018-2019 action plan from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Motion to approve.
And I'll second, just with comment, just want to make sure that the actions that we took at the subsequent 75A, that does not affect 60C, correct? Okay, so.
Great. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item, Madam Clerk, are we moving toward 60D? Next item is approve agreement with the HF and H Consultants LLC for solid waste consulting services. We have Public Works has a PowerPoint presentation. Would we like to hear that PowerPoint?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Good evening. Next item is Madam
75D.
75B. See, when the mayor's not here, we move very quickly. We are now at 75B. This is a time for a public hearing to amend council word boundaries. Oh no, we're not. Are we doing 60?
We're not doing 75B.
D as in David.
D as in David, C is 75D. Okay, so this is a time for a public hearing to do an addendum to the environmental impact report 1988-01 general plan amendment. Amendment application, various and zoning ordinance amendments to amend Bristol Street specific plan in the city of Santa Ana. Madam Clerk, do we have any presentations at this time, and do we have any members of the public that wish to speak?
I have not received any speaker cards.
Do we wish to have staff make a presentation?
I'm ready to make a motion.
We have a motion on the floor.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, and I'm going to pass this on to our mayor. Right.
Good job, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you. So we're on which item now, Madam Clerk?
85A, which is Mayor Pro Tem Martinez.
Go ahead.
And I'll be very quick, Mr. Mayor. What I wanted to do, and I think we've spoken about this in the past, and as time is an essence, as the election is coming to us in November, some of the issues as it pertains to our charter. We have about 100-year-old plus charter, and there's a lot of inconsistencies. And over the years, I've met with staff and trying to figure out what we can do to make some of these amendments, and many of them are being addressed here. I know Councilman Benavides was once on a charter committee many moons ago, right, Councilman Benavides? And a lot of those items didn't move forward to the ballot, and this is an opportunity that I was able to work with staff to consolidate, but obviously it's at the pleasure of the City Council before they come and move towards any ordinances. I did meet with them, and again, just wanted to bring this forward to the council as we move forward, and really ask you all to help us direct staff to prepare the materials to address the following charter amendments on the November 16, 2018 general municipal election, which would be campaign contributions, removal of board and commissions from charter, add to the Santa Ana Municipal Code to be consistent with other boards and commissions, restrictions on the use of reserves and in lieu housing revenue, authority to sign documents, ethics policy, police chief and civil service. And these are some items that have been brought up in the past, to clean our charter and also to bring consistency in regards to our municipal code. And one of those items that is fairly new, one example, and I'll state in why I added this item, the personnel board. Any member who sits currently on the personnel board that chooses to want to run for office is ineligible. They would have to resign from their seat. That is the only commission that has to do that. The other commissions do not have to do that. They can use their title and still run for office, while members of the personnel board would have to literally resign from their seat so that they could actually run. That is very inconsistent. That is not fair. I believe that all those commissions should be removed from the charter and put into the municipal code. So if the council in the future ever wants to make any changes, they wouldn't have to go to the voters for that. It makes a lot of sense. And so these are the items that I brought forward. Obviously, this council may have additional items that they would want to make changes as it pertains to the charter, or so I would ask for us to move in that direction and direct staff and or Mr. Mayor. I know we do a lot of ad hocs. If that's something else, I'm not sure if any member of the council would like to add anything else, but I think we have a moment in time to make some of these changes that need to be made so that they are consistent as we move towards making sure that we have some consistency. And many times a lot of these issues are being brought up, and we can't make any changes because obviously we have to go to the voters, and a lot of this information is definitely outdated and that needs to be addressed. And so those are just my comments. I wanted to bring this up because time is of essence. We are now in May, and so if we wanted to take any of these items to the voters in November, we need to start having this conversation now. And so this was a starting point of items that I felt that over the years have been brought to surface and that we should be addressing, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Look, I'm probably not good with some of these, but I don't want to speak to them. I kind of want to see more what the thought is behind them and review things. So I don't know what the pleasure of council members are. I don't know if somebody wants to, spend more time. Certainly, I would, volunteer, look at some of these things. And again, one might be a yay, one might be an A. But you've got a lot of thought and quite a package here. Comments, Councilor Villegas?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, if you were to put together a ad hoc, I would join, but I'm not ready to make
How many
decisions
committees
on all this.
are you on?
Me, I'm only on one.
I'm talking about one.
Oh, he's on.
Right. So, yeah, there's some good points here. Mayor Pro Tem, I appreciate it. And it does need to be cleaned up. But, of course, all this we're talking about has to go to the voters,
would it
correct?
be okay, Mayor
So
Pro
that
Tem,
means that it
myself?
costs more money to-
Definitely.
All right,
we would have
so
to-
let's do that. Is that okay with the other council
Yeah.
members? All right,
the only
so
thing-
should we maybe make a motion, or what would be appropriate?
I think you can. The only thing I would just ask is for staff to speak into any potential other items, either the clerk or the city attorneys.
Yeah,
I think there
Mayor-
have been other things that we have discussed.
I just want to
at different
remind
times.
from a process standpoint, Mayor, if you appoint the ad hoc, it can be truly ad hoc, but if
I'll appoint the ad hoc. I'll appoint Mayor Pro Tem. I'll appoint Councilmember Villegas when he's having good days, and myself.
Right on.
You're always having good days, right, Juan?
Every day, sir.
Every day. Thank you. All right. Well, look, do folks want to speak on this item? Madam Clerk?
Non-agendized items.
Oh, not, okay, so after we're done with that. Got it. So next, let's go to the the successor agency meeting. I'll call it to order. Ask for a motion on the consent calendar, item 1 through 3.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. We did that meeting in less than 30 seconds. No member agency comments. And now we're on to the next page.
Work study.
Work study. So I'll turn it over to our city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight we have a presentation of what we're proposing for the 18-19 fiscal year budget. And I wanted to just remind the council that we're trying to approach this in a more transparent way. We're trying to approach this in a more transparent way, and we're also trying to present it in a more transparent way. So we have some governing principles, and those that we would take and look at a comprehensive approach. Oftentimes,
Mr. City Manager, can you speak a little louder into the microphone? Thank you.
Sure. We want to take a more comprehensive approach this year, not just focus on the general fund. We wanted to look at other funds as well, because the city budget is made up of many other funds in addition to the general fund. Of course, the focus is always on the general fund because that is the most discretionary fund that the city has in terms of its ability to program for
Mr.
many
City
things.
Manager, is it okay if we take a 5-minute recess?
Sure.
Some folks have to go to the facilities. Thank you. We'll be back.
vas a olvidar. Yo he tenido tanto temor. ¿Para qué vas a olvidar? Si solo quiero tu amor. Es el alma que me dice que te sigue. ¿para qué vas a seguir? Entiéndeme, yo te amo. Y luchar por una vida que vale la pena, eso es amor, entiéndelo, amor. Y yo tengo perdón, yo te tengo perdón, te tengo más que eso. Yo te tengo amor, te quiero dar todo lo que tú quieras. Sé de amor, corazón. Sé de amor. Eres mi corazón, eres mi corazón. Yo te quiero dar amor, entiéndelo. Te quiero dar mi perdón. Sé de amor. Es el alma que me dice que te siga. Es el alma que me dice que te siga.
han caído los esquemas de mi vida.
Mr. City Manager, if you could give us a high-level work study on the budget, because I know we saw something at the last meeting, so I know not much has changed, so if you could be very quick on high level for us, that'd be fantastic, so that we can move forward with the mobile vending, as we certainly have skipped this item a couple of times.
We will certainly do that, Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Director Gutierrez. Very high level.
You got it. So tonight, really quickly, I will provide an overview of the budget. First of all, the citywide budget, which encompasses not only the general fund, but all other funds that are, as you guys spoke earlier, restricted in terms of their use. A lot of it being, for example, the enterprise operations that constitute almost 20% of the entire pie chart. We also include our capital funds, special revenue funds, and housing assistance monies that are also included within the entire city budget. Our total city budget is about $540 million for the upcoming proposed fiscal year 18-19. In terms of the general fund, the revenue sources, or what we've defined now, our ongoing revenue sources, is 245.9. 7 of our sources actually comprise 70% of the entire revenue that the city receives. The primary ones obviously are the sales tax, property tax in lieu. I've incorporated the 7th slice because it really, now cannabis comes into the picture and actually has overtaken hotel visitors tax as number 6. But all those 7 combined is 70% of our total revenue. In terms of our expenditures, the city budget's $255 million. The bulk of it obviously coming from our public safety, which still constitutes approximately 70% of our entire general fund budget. So obviously, in terms of our projected deficit that we are facing, it's $17.1 million for fiscal year 18-19. What we've defined here is how we expect to address the deficit. The ongoing cost reductions is really related to departmental reductions that have been incorporated. In addition, we are going to fund the strategic plan at the level of expenditures that have been ongoing for the past couple of years. We are going to come back to the City Council and prepay the PERS component for the public safety. That should provide savings. And then we're looking to see what additional strategies that we can have overall as it relates to the city. In terms of the revenue, what we hope to do with the revenue is obviously the introduction of the commercial cannabis program. It will be included, as well as the look at our user fees across the city in order to generate additional revenue. That would leave us with spending the balance of our unallocated fund balance at 6.9, the use of one-time revenues that's associated with Nexus Development to fund some expenditures related to the Community Development Agency, and then the anticipation that our year-end balance, we will be able to either collect additional revenue of $2 million or a combination of revenues and expenditures to offset the balance of the $2 million. That being said, just want to remind the City Council that we have additional needs and priorities that still need to be addressed. Obviously, the Quality of Life Team and Homeless initiative, the common theme that we've heard throughout the community in terms of more diverse youth programming, obviously the ability to fund additional economic development programs, police officer recruitments, the ability to maintain the reserve policy, address our deferred maintenance as it relates to facilities, vehicles, IT, information technology. The other priorities obviously revolve around our 218 enterprise fund compliance. We have internal service funds issues that we need now to address and related to workers' comp liability. We have the City Hall seismic retrofit, SARTEC, which is the Santa Ana Regional Transportation Center, which needs facility improvements. And then obviously, most people are aware are our ongoing PERS challenges. In terms of revenues, obviously, there are various elements that we could look at. One obviously being the penny tax or the sales tax, the hotel visitors tax. Right now, we're one of the lowest in Orange County at 11%. Everybody else is around 14%. Obviously, then we looking to encourage the development of vacant, underutilized property. This goes to the Mayor Pro Tem's initiative in terms of addressing the property tax. Prioritize entitlement of regulated cannabis facility. Obviously, the faster we can get to them, the more revenue we can see immediately. The promotion of economic development, exploring other revenue items such as billboards and electronic messaging, looking at mobile food vendors and evaluating where we can bring them in order to generate a different kind of revenue, like, for example, sales tax. And then obviously finalize the development impact fees and user fee studies that have been ongoing now for a few months. Here we've promised the City Council to actually incorporate the unfunded, identify the unfunded positions within the budget. And here we've highlighted where what departments, how the departments will be identifying those unfunded positions in the coming year. Now in the booklet, you all received booklets. Here, the booklets contain the detail in terms of the workforce changes, so I won't necessarily relegate myself to looking at these, but the City Council can look at the booklets that they've received, both on the workforce changes as well as in the miscellaneous fees as well. So with that, that concludes the budget.
Great, thank you so very much. That was very thorough. We appreciate the high-level presentation. Any questions from the City Council? Looks like we don't have any, so we're going to be moving towards now the mobile vending. I know we received a presentation on the budget at the last meeting. We were able to comment, and so want to thank you as we move forward to bringing the budget to the first hearing at the next meeting, and then to the second, and I believe in June for approval. And so we're moving on schedule. And so with that, we're now moving to the update mobile vending.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and member of the council. This is a quick update on the mobile vending ordinance that was adopted back in September of last year, and we're here to provide an update on the status of where we are in terms of implementation. Again, as I mentioned, this was adopted in September of 2017. At the last meeting, we heard the council loud and clear is that get this project moving and start our vendors to really get going and be able to service the area. So our staff work to do that, and we'll discuss how we plan to do that on the next steps in the next few slides. But just in terms of the overview, after the September adoption, we also conducted a survey to really assess the existing condition in terms of how many mobile vendors do we have, where they park, and what type of products they vend, as well as talk to some of the community stakeholders. And we spoke to stakeholders both before as well as after the adoption of the ordinance, so that we get a better sense of their concerns and also to help provide meaningful solution to the issues. This map shows, obviously it's not the entire map, but we mapped out some of the vendors and their locations. The ones in greens are produce, the ones in blues are prepared food and other information. But this really just shows what's going on in our downtown and civic center area. In total, we have about 340 mobile vendors that we estimate. Approximately 140 of those are in non-commercial areas. We did a survey, and we found about 140 units, mobile vendors located in the residential district. Obviously there's some that are as mobile as well, so they're not at fixed location, but these are the conditions that they are located in. Some are located near street lights, some are at meter parking spaces, some are there, been there for many years, some's been there as few as less than a year, as well as some has other equipment. So there are different needs of different vendors, and our goal is to really create and help to standardize the location and as well as the standard for the operation. We wanted to provide friendly options, but that's really moving way towards the future, because today we're not set up to optimize these levels of operations, and there's additional costs that would be incurred in terms of how the infrastructures need to be improved. So in terms of listening to the City Council, we certainly want to respond and be able to get these vendors going up and before a lot of these things are put in place. So we're proposing a phase-in implementation process to where the low-hanging fruits we can do right away. Some of the midterm items we can start working and then working towards the budget, and then also the longer-term plans. So the sites that we're talking about include sites that are located on private properties, sites that are located on our city streets, or even islands, what we call island sites, where we have multiple vendors located in certain areas of the city. In terms of the ongoing, we'll be working towards the development of design and operational standards. That will be something of a midterm, which also will require zoning amendment. And since we're going through a general plan update process, our thought is that we would work towards a comprehensive update and maybe wait to have that be included in the zoning code update. But in the meantime, we can still do something to get these vendors going. So. The phasing, we're looking at phase 1 to address where and how the mobile vendors will be located. We work with Public Works, and I do want to commend our staff from code enforcement, our staff from planning, and Public Works on their creativity in responding to the council's concerns about implementing this in a expeditious manner, is to consider licensing agreements to where we can ensure that the vendors are located and they have use of space. We know what rent will be. We know the terms of operations. We know how we can work with them to make sure that impacts are minimized. So through a license agreement potentially, or potentially an encroachment permit, we can license these businesses right away, and then also implement a rental fee for the use of the public space, in addition to any collection of retail tax on the services they provide, and also on the business license permit. So that's really phase 1. We'll come up with some minimum standard that still meet our public safety concerns and operational concerns. And then phase 2 is working on, as I mentioned earlier, the longer terms of changing the ordinance to provide for island vendings, provide for on-site private property vending, but also to prepare ourselves for the infrastructure that would be required to be put in place in order to achieve the goal of creating environmental friendly locations. So those are the next steps. We anticipate that the phase 1, we should be able to come back and report back to you about implementation in 3 to 4 months. Some of these elements will take us time to prepare, but we believe that we'll be ready to implement phase 1 in about 3 to 4 months. That concludes staff report. As I mentioned, our Public Works and planning staff are here, and code staff are here as well to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so very much. Before I bring this to our council, I just wanted to thank also Alvaro Nunez and his staff for really putting this survey together. I know it wasn't easy to do, so just wanting to thank him and for his efforts. Appreciate it. And with that, bring this back to the council. Any comments? No comments? Okay, we move on. No, David, too late. Yes, Councilman Benavides.
I appreciate staff's work on this, and I think there are some opportunities here, particularly as it pertains to the mobile vending islands. I think that is something that would be the newest addition, maybe, to how we see mobile vending in the city. We do have mobile vendors right now throughout the city, and in certain cases they recognize that they bring certain features, whether it be gourmet, trucks or produce available, readily available. There are some things I know we've been balancing and dealing with for some time as well. In certain areas of my neighborhood, there's quite a few in a very compact area. A number of we're already a very limited and overparked city, generally speaking, and particularly in some of our residential neighborhoods. And so those are, some of the things that we'll have to look at and address. In my area as well, there are a number of them, they're graffiti magnets to a certain degree, and so that'll be some of the things that I know we'll need to address as well. And I know that staff has limited time and resources, and so I know you're working on trying to address this while at the same time process other applications on other projects, larger projects, development projects, and we throw a lot of things at you. You've got to do quite a bit, like yesterday, and then there's the private and development community and business community as well that wants to get their applications processed and all quickly and such. So all that to say is that from my standpoint is I definitely see, again, opportunity, but also want to ensure that we're considering these opportunities proportionally with some of the other, when it comes to economic development, with some of the other projects as well. And that we also look at some of these other adverse impacts, just generally speaking. Again, I am excited about the island possibility. I know that you've got that down as a second, further phase down. I'm wondering whether that might be whether it might even be something where we could get a quicker return, maybe easiest kind of less work on the standpoint of standardizing and figuring out how we're going to potentially designate public right of way to a mobile truck and try to expedite the island idea. Anyway, it's just some thoughts, some questions, more than anything, just for some feedback.
Thank you, Councilman Benavides. One thing that I would just like to add, is it possible, the way we look at retail and the way we also look at food vending, it's changing. The world is changing, and we have to adapt. And, I think many of us have seen pop-ups come up that are temporary, right? You come up, you use a surface parking lot, or you use a business, and you're able to pop up, bring your stuff. I was just at a vegan pop-up at Alzambrora last Sunday for Mother's Day brunch. Believe me, it was amazing. Oh my God, it was so good. And, 4 or 5 different vendors showed up. There was hundreds of people there coming in and out. Pretty amazing. And that is the new direction, is these pop-ups. Obviously, there is a need for mobile vending islands, but also looking at these pop-up temporary spaces that activate not only current businesses that are already there, because that's a restaurant that's already there, but the son is a vegan. Right? And so on Sundays, he does a vegan pop-up with other vendors. And, again, I spend $30 every Sunday that I'm there. Right? So imagine if it's just me, there's a lot more folks that are spending the same amount, and they're generating revenue. And so how can we bring them to the fold? They're definitely excited. Or I go to the Mission Bar on Tuesdays, and, Best Taco, vegan taco. I just made LA Weekly, young man from Santa Ana. He does a pop-up at Mission Bar with craft beer. Pretty amazing, right? $12 a plate. Guess what? I'm there. I support them. That is the new direction. So how can we co-share space to accommodate not only the current business that is in place, like, for example, the Mission Bar that is bringing in a food, a person, and whether you're vegan or not, people are eating these tacos because they're delicious. And so there's a lot of opportunity, and I think we need to be flexible because that is the new direction of how people want to congregate and eat. And so that's something that we have yet to talk about, but it has a lot to do with food vending, but in a different way today. And so I just wanted to share that for us to consider in adding as we move towards specifically the movement of the vegan movement. It's pretty big here in this city, and it's continuing to grow. But there's also other opportunities for pop-ups in regards to arts and crafts. You look at our farmers market is kind of the same kind of concept, right? But putting it in other businesses as well, and being able to be open to that, because I think we have a lot of restrictions that we're not open to those opportunities. And so with that, those are my comments, Councilman Tinajero.
The one thing that I do want to take a look at is, first of all, thank you for moving on this, but one of the things that I do want to take a look at is we have also established a certain distance requirement for mobile vending trucks. There is one group of mobile vending trucks, though, that when I didn't know they existed, and it was a few months back that I went, and they sell fruits and vegetables. and a little extra stuff, but it's mainly fruits and vegetables. One of the things that I don't know if this is something that the council would want to approve, but my thought was when you have a mobile vending truck who is selling fruits and vegetables to the public, one of the things that I've noticed and that I've not liked so much in working for the school district and going to all the different schools is when school's out, there are other vendors that are within the space, but they're selling very unhealthy food. Now, it's a free market, and I understand that, but I've asked students at different sites, I said, if there was someone selling fruits and vegetables with a little tahini and a little lemon and salt, would you purchase it? And the answer is always yes. So one of the things that happened is I had an event where we had about 500 students, and they had vegetables. Their vegetables were cucumbers with a little jicama and a lime. I'm not kidding you. They were all gone because they had a little tahini in there. So I think that we have a community that really likes that. Those are the fruits and vegetables that they'll have. So maybe there's an opportunity for us to talk to some of those mobile vendors and maybe omit some of the things that let's say that they sell fruits and vegetables, but they're willing to omit all the chips and stuff. And we maybe give them permission to be closer to a school site so that students can access that. So that's just a thought.
Great, thank you. And with that, thank you, Mr. Planning Director. Thank you to Mr. Nunez and his code enforcement staff for the great work that they did in the survey. And with that, we are now moving to comments. Mr. City Manager comments.
Mayor Pro Tem, we have...
Actually, we do have members of the public, so Mr. City Manager, you got to hold on. I totally forgot about them. Mr. Del Halvig, followed by Guy Morrison, Susana Sembrorden, and then Dr. Grant Lopez, and then Bill Lee.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Martinez and council members. I want to start off by saying thank you to Councilman Tinajero for taking time out of his day today to meet with us. Appreciate it. I put together a packet to help me better understand some of the stuff that's going on in the city, and essentially it looks at specific developments that have occurred. And since 1976, when the first specific development was approved by the council, we've approved another 91 specific developments. And of those 92 total specific developments, only 17 of those were approved that bordered an R1 zoning area. And of those 17, only 2 actually had a height restriction greater than 36 feet. That was the OC Register building and the one that was recently approved by council back in January, Tiny Tim Plaza. The applicant for 2525 Main Street wants to build the 5-story, essentially 6 because there's an entertainment center on top, and an 8-story parking structure. And from the information that I was able to get off the website for the city website for the project, it's roughly 86 feet. The print is so small it's really illegible, so it's hard to tell. But it's so far out of the norm for any previous specific development that was approved by council, and so I'll be sending this list to you guys, and I urge you or encourage you to take a look at it, what's been approved in the past, what is considered good for Santa Ana based upon historical data, and I don't think this particular project is good for Santa Ana, so thank you.
Great, thank you. Guy and Danny Morrison, followed by Susana Sombrerón.
Hi, I wanted to thank you for the opportunity. I've given each one of you packets, and that will give you more detail. Sorry. My name is Danny Morrison, and this is my husband, Guy. We've been married for 34 years, same house, same city. We love Santa Ana and our people in all of Orange County. I'm here to let you know that we will be having a First Love OC prayer gathering at the Santa Ana Stadium June 16th, Saturday from 9 to noon. Invitations are extended to all 34 cities, mayors, our city officials, churches, and citizens. Prayer topics will be primarily for visitation and move of God, an outpouring of His love, an awakening to the times and the needs of our county regarding current lawsuit. We need unity and reconciliation in county and churches, wisdom regarding serious issues in our county, such as homelessness, schools, students, orphans, gangs, casino crime, sex trafficking. And I learned more today about financial needs, sex education in elementary school. We will be gathering and immobilizing the troops, not only to pray for all of you, but also our county. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Susan, followed by Dr. Grant Lopez, and then our final speaker is Billy Lee.
Hello, I'm Susan Zomordian, and I'm presenting Lenore Albert Shreden for District Attorney. Currently, Tony Redkakis is running the DA office for Orange County. Her name is Lenore Albert. She's asking for your vote to become the first female elected as your Orange County District Attorney. She's a
Madam City Attorney, can she speak on campaigns?
Well, during general public comment, they can talk about anything that's within your jurisdiction. We normally say that campaign discussions that's related to you, those of you being elected, would be there. It's up to you. I would probably warn against establishing a practice of coming to election year on positions that are not related directly to the city.
She needs Santa Ana voters, registered voters, to get the vote of. It's a densely populated area.
So it really is, your rules and procedures would allow
Unfortunately, we can't set precedent, and we've been very open in the past and not allowing folks to come here and campaign for specific folks that have no jurisdiction here, particularly here with the city of Santa Ana. So if you can be broad and not talk about campaigns, we greatly appreciate it. If not, you would have to conclude.
I think I would get
conclude. Okay, great. Thank you so very much. Dr. Grant Lopez, the same thing.
Hola, pues yo quisiera hablar que algo que sí tiene mucho que ver con Santana, porque este señor Tony Redkakis me trajo aquí a la ciudad de Santana contra mi voluntad y él ofreció $500,000.
Shut off his mic. Thank you. We cannot. I just made it very clear that we cannot talk about campaigns or
no, esto no fue una campaña, era una campaña contra la libertad.
Or the current district attorney if it's not within the jurisdiction of the city.
Eso pasó aquí en la ciudad de Santana, aquí en esta misma calle.
Can we please just turn off his mic and oh, here we go. And followed by Billy Lee. Billy Lee? Great. Thank you, sir.
Before I give my 1.5 minute thing, I want to say for Councilman Tinero and Pro Tem Mayor Martinez, hear for your heart passion to keep the city fiscally responsible. Has nothing to do with that besides what I'm going to say. But my name is Billy Lee. I reside at 2502 Oakmont Avenue. I spoke to you folks April the 14th and addressed the deceit Vineyard Development Company is perpetrating and potential lawsuits that could result for them, that's the development company, and the city of Santa Ana. Also, as indicated, the 5+ story monster is not suited for 2525 Main Street site. One particular lawsuit exposure is the one entrance exit onto Main Street to accommodate 496 occupants. Now, if 2 people live in those 496, that doubles that. Imagine at 7 to 8 to 9 in the morning and 4 to 5 to 6 at night. Can you just imagine? Plus they're talking about maybe re-entering Edgewood as a potential. However, this compounds the logic of having to defend yourselves and, of course, Vineyard Development Company also. Imagine only 496 occupants. Well, I've said that, so I'll go on. You council members are not paid enough to justify the unnecessary lawsuit potential and headaches and lasting frustration for same which Vineyard Development Company has imposed upon you. Why take on the stress and potential liability of the current 2525 North Main project, which is named Magnolia, when something else more suitable could be acceptable for Santa Ana and Park Santiago community? I'm finished. But have you folks heard about the stepped-up crime activity in the Santiago community? Have you heard of that? Just drop that one on you and say, God bless you, and thank you for being there, and thank you for your attitude about fiscally responsibility.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. And now we're moving towards Mr. City Manager comments. Mr. Godinez.
Yes, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. I just wanted to talk about three different things here. One of them is the Wooden Floor, which is a nonprofit organization that serves low-income youth with free dance classes and academic support. Through the city's partnership with the development of the depot at Santiago, which is near our train station, the Wooden Floor has opened its second facility on the first floor of the depot at Santiago. The Wooden Floor had held a grand opening celebration dedication ceremony this past Saturday, and they are proud to be using a 4,000 square foot facility, which we expect will serve nearly 500 students and their families year round. So that's a success story there. Also wanted to announce that the International Council of Shopping Centers, ICSC, Recon Conference in Las Vegas that happens every year. It's a great opportunity for the city to leverage private investment in the city that results in tax base expansion and job creation citywide. This conference brings about 37,000 industry professionals, and it's really the largest gathering of retail real estate professionals, retailers, developers, brokers, and all of that. We have a team that's going to be staffing a booth over there, and I understand you'll be joining as well, which is great. We're looking to market the city, and our new CDA executive director will be attending as well. And last but not least, I just wanted to highlight a new mural at Angels Park. The painting was led by artist Michael Howard with community input from the Flower Park Neighborhood Association. The mural was completed with the assistance of various Santa Ana police officers, cadets, and explorers. And I understand that both you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, and Councilmember Villegas were there today for the unveiling of the new mural. And I just wanted to highlight that success.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity, wanting to thank our partners at State Farm. This is the third mural, and so a good friend of mine, Adriana, who's been very kind to come into the city of Santa Ana with State Farm to do this. It's been fabulous, and so wanting to thank our staff for accommodating and making sure that we brought everyone to the table, our kids, and as well as our community and our commissioners, and saw a lot of those folks there today. I'm not sure if Juan wants to say anything very quickly about that today.
Just want to thank you. It was great being a part of the presentation of the mural, and I thank the artists, and I want to thank the Mayor Pro Tem also for inviting me, allowing me to be part of this. It is in my ward, and I appreciate it very much.
Great. Councilman Tinajero.
Well, it's been an eventful evening. It's been an eventful evening. First and foremost, I want to thank the staff for your reports today. We had a very informative closed session as well as open. I will be taking a look at some campaign forms and so forth to make sure that we're being very transparent. Anytime we give money away or give services away or resources away to an individual agency, we have to make sure to and be transparent about the politics that are involved with that. So I want to find out who the developer is from that project. We have a lot of needs in the city of Santa Ana, and we are trying to do our best to find ways to solve for those needs. And so sometimes you might see some passion here, and there's at the end of the day, I did not prevail on that particular vote with Mater Dei tonight, but there's still room for us to discuss the other item that we did not vote on today. And I don't question my colleagues' heart or paradigm on that issue, because the reality is I really do believe that the four people that are left here tonight really do care about the city of Santa Ana. And that's why we're here tonight. That's why we stick around. And we may have a difference of opinion on how to get across the finish line victorious, but at the end of the day, everyone's input is important, even if it's a little bit different. And there we can try to find a common place to help us succeed. So I appreciate Councilmember Benavides, who I respect tremendously, and for his words, and because I think at the end of the day, to his core, he does care about the city. So we're going to have those types of discussions, and I think that's what makes us a strong city, and that's what gives us an opportunity to make better decisions. So I just want to thank everyone, and I want to congratulate all of the students who will start walking across that stage at their graduations in the next couple of weeks. I really tip my hat to what our school district is doing, what our city is doing to work with our school district, and what our community college is doing. We now have 3 schools here in the city of Santa Ana where you can graduate in high school with an AA degree as well. So let's just keep on moving.
Fantastic. Councilman Tinajero, thank you. Councilman Benavides.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'll still challenge you that arm wrestling contest there, Councilman Tinajero. There's always a lot of great things going on in this beautiful city of Santa Ana. One thing I want to bring to folks' attention, at the end of May 27th, here in our downtown, there is a big fair, kind of a handiwork fair, the patchwork show that started here in Santa Ana and has gone on to several other cities and even out of state at this point. Rain or shine from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. over in our downtown by East and 4th Street. There will be quite a few different booths of again, unique artwork and handicrafts and food and music. It'll be a great time to, again, just celebrate and all that is Santa Ana and its uniqueness. Another great thing that's going on, taking place, it is election season coming up. Here, our primary in June, general election in November. But the only way that one has an opportunity to vote is to be a citizen. And Congressman Correa, there's a lot of things going on at national level, and a lot of it's very important that anybody who is able to become a citizen takes advantage of that opportunity. So Congressman Correa is having a citizenship fair, his 2nd annual, taking place on Saturday, June 2nd. And that's at Santa Ana College at Dunlap Hall from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Encourage our community to go out, get the word out. If you have any questions around whether the process for becoming a citizen and such, Congressman Correa does have some information on his website, and that event's taking place in partnership with Santa Ana College ourselves, City of Santa Ana Unified, and World Relief of Southern California. Again, that's June 2nd, Saturday, Citizenship Fair at Santa Ana College. And we've been talking some about economic development and revenue, producing opportunities for the city, especially as we look at our budget. And one of the ways that we can all contribute to the budget and revenue is to shop local, shop in Santa Ana, whether it's you're pumping gas in your car, you're buying a gift, you're any type of expense that you're making, do it here within city boundaries, support local jobs. And with that, have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Villegas.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I want to thank the staff for all the hard work since the last council meeting. I know we ask a lot of you. And I know we're short-staffed throughout the city, and so I commend you for all your hard work. Last Saturday, I had the pleasure of attending the Santa Ana Police Department open house. I want to congratulate them and Chief Valentin for a great success. It was a very good event. It had a good turnout. All the officers were there, very professional, providing tours of the police station and demonstrations. They also made the public feel very welcome. I appreciate that. And once again, congratulations. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Great. Thank you, Councilman Villegas. I will be very brief so that we can conclude. One, we do have Taste of Santa Ana coming up this weekend with the Chamber of Commerce. It's a great time to be out there. Unfortunately, this time around, I may not be able to make it because I'm overcommitted. I wish I had a twin. Unfortunately, I don't. So, but I'm going to try to be from Long Beach to Palm Desert and hopefully back to Santa Ana, but not sure if I'll be able to make it, but do my best. As well, wanting to make sure that we are able to support at the end of the month Patchwork and the great work that they've been doing with the creative arts and that particular industry. And then I also just wanted very briefly to talk about the 2028 Olympics. That's 10 years from now. Santa Ana has an amazing opportunity. You know, the Olympics is coming to Los Angeles, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to extend throughout Southern California. As we move forward with our streetcar, our commuter rail, which is Metrolink and Amtrak, we have an opportunity, and the opportunity is with skateboarding. This is the first time skateboarding is coming onto the Olympics. We need to capture the moment. Downtown Santa Ana, this Civic Center is prime and ripe for that opportunity. We have the bones. We also have the gaming industry, how we can connect those two and connect the dots. We need to prepare ourselves. And I believe you have an amazing civic center that would accommodate and a downtown. And if it's not us, it's going to be someone else like Costa Mesa. And so we need to start having those kinds of conversations, because 10 years will come quick. And we don't want to miss on an opportunity like that. And so I want to encourage our staff to think about that. Skateboarding is not going to go anywhere. I remember as a kid, I used to skateboard and do amazing things, and now it's back, right? And so this is a sport that it will be in the Summer Olympics. This should tell us something. That it's prime for the city of Santa Ana. And I know Councilman Benavides and his kids at KidWorks and downtown, Inc. With the Chase family and other folks, Armando de la Libertad, that for many years has been trying to position the city, and other folks that are residents here. And I had a conversation, and I really believe that if we pay close attention and figure out the nexus, we can be that city in 2028 where we will have people from all over the world coming and saying, I was in Santa Ana skateboarding, right? So think about that opportunity. I want my colleagues to think about that opportunity. And then just finally, to all those mothers, I know Mother's Day was this Sunday, wanting to wish all you those, hopefully you celebrated a great Mother's Day. I certainly, not always easy. My mother passed away in 2010, and so now it's going on, 8 years, and so never an easy day, and so always somber for me on Mother's Day, but I always wanted to make sure that I really wish all you who are here and in the audience, because moms do play a very pivotal role in all our lives. Obviously, we come out of their womb, we're in their womb, and so for all the single mothers in particular, and we do have single fathers that sometimes have to play both roles as well. And at the end, I just wanting to thank parents, period, because the struggles that they all go through to raise their children every single day, wanting the best for them. Sometimes we as children forget how hard our parents work to make sure that we're successful. And so I just want to thank all the parents, moms and dads. Thank you for raising your children to do great things. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.